it was in response to the question that was asked, by Norma, which I think, it was a very, 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 very important, question, to ask. And, the response there was, there was an acknowledgement that here, as a citizen, she deserves, to know who is who in this organization, who is who CCC, and there was an undertaking from Ostalos, to assure, to tell us that they are now putting, they are putting things together, so that the organization, becomes more defined in terms of knowing who is who in the in the organization, and stuff like that. The issue of Sabang, it's something that is reiterated from past engagements in the past what do you call them, past presses, where we've been told that this guy is an imposter, and as far as the position is concerned, it doesn't exist, etc, etc. But there's also now this issue of the court case, which they're saying that they are looking forward to that court case, and whatever whatever the outcome of that court case, then they're going to be telling us again of the way forward. But I might have missed one or two things, because I was in I was in and out. So the reason why I've opened this space is to give you guys the opportunity to do your reactions, right? So more for should I say?
Should say Mukwasha,
What do you
Nyamashusha.
say go?
I most ball.
And ndimega mangamuri glued on bagama.
No, we're
What are the
listening.
takeaways?
No, we're listening. I mean, I think Osalos was coming out, throwing out some punches and acknowledging as well, to say Kuti, what the citizens do. They do listen to them as much as it is difficult. And I think one thing that he did mention that I took out there, he did mention that they do have structures in terms of department, the bureau of these international engagements. The guys that are engaging with SADC and stuff. He talked about the two guys that detained at the airport, and they are on the department of engaging with the outside, with the international engagements. And he did also mention, he came on to talk about the website that he did mention that he's been viewing today. Obviously something that is long overdue. I think it's an acknowledgement of what the citizens are asking for, and in a way as well trying to to alert us to the fact that these things are happening in the background. And I think that is a no-brainer for me, having a website and where the information is. I think he mentioned that some of the documents there of what Triple C resolves will be they'll be on the website. Whenever that is coming, Uncle, I don't know, but yeah, I think it is definitely a positive positive thing to come out of that. And also, I think he did mention, I think that was coming from the questions from the people, but he did mention the terrain that we operate in. I think that example of the MP for Mavuku Jidakwa guy, that how Zimbabwe and how docile we are as a people, we can be, that somebody can get attacked and nobody goes to help. In fact, people actually move away or run away from somebody crying for help, which is a situation that most people speak. Some of us, we are good, we can we can talk on the spaces, we can critical analysis, we can give criticism, we can do what. But I think was it my brother Esau earlier on was saying sometimes I can talk, but when I go to Zim, I will never say anything. My mouth is shut because I know the terrain that it is difficult to operate. So I think Osalos did mention that point there, Kuti. The terrain that we operate, it doesn't matter who you are, as long as they know you are from an opposition voice, you can be in trouble. So he did mention that as well. And I think there were some tough questions that came through, and there were a lot of comments as well, from different people. But I think he was trying to my take there was he was trying to acknowledge what the questions that the citizens has, and at the same time trying to explain the atmosphere that they operate in and how they are moving forward. Chabangu issue, I think at the moment they are trying to dismiss it, to trying to trivialize it as that, it's not even legal, that even ED should not have called for that, for the by-elections. But the reality on the ground is that that has been called for, and where do we go from here? So it was interesting. I thought he came on fighting. He threw some punches, and he admitted as well that they are listening. So it will be interesting to hear how the other people took this on board.
Right. Yes. Thank you very much. The first speaker, that we're going to be having is Blessing. Blessing, you've requested, the mic. We've given you the mic. Please, if you can give us, your response, your reaction to the issue that Australia's, or to the issues that Australia's, tried, to address.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anko Ged. One thing I want to take from Stalos is that for him to come on the space and to engage with the citizens, it's a statement which acknowledges that they've realized that the citizens have got a lot of questions, and there is no real communication in terms of the way forward with the struggle. Citizens want to understand how the party is handling all these things, because this, like what he said, that this is not just about CC members or the leadership of CC party. It's a national question. It's a national agenda. It is something that is affecting every individual, and at the same time, we are talking about an alternative which can be our government in the future. So I really appreciate him coming on the platform. And again, the other thing, the way he has responded to most of the questions which are coming from just people who, some of them who were not even CC members, was very, very leadership material in terms of he has clarified on the discussions that we are having also in these platforms. He acknowledged that most of these things, they are taking information, they are taking our concerns from the discussions that we do there, because he was talking about our differences in opinion, but yet we are focusing on the same objective. We want change. We want approaches, our way of doing things to be successful as citizens. So I think it will help people now to clearly understand why some of the arguments that we have here, they are not necessarily bastardizing the leadership, but they are about requesting a response. It's about concerns about where things are not being clarified, where there's no communication in terms of making people understand what is really going on. Then the other thing is, when you spoke about somebody asking the question about Welshman Ngube and about Tendai I think he has also given a clear picture of what's going on there, because we have got quite a lot of dissenting voices who are bastardizing Welshman Ngube, who are bastardizing Tendai and who have no real understanding of how CC operates, and also about the challenges that the leadership faces with the infiltration and with also some manipulations from the state. So these are some of the things that I think he has highlighted, that as citizens, we have to be very vigilant and we have to be very careful about how we attack other people and stereotype them, which will also derail the struggle that we are in. So I think there were quite a lot of very important remarks on there. Though, again, most of the people, they didn't get a chance to find a space to ask the questions, because like myself, the question I wanted to ask is how they address these kind of issues, especially about this misinformation about Welshman Ngube, about Tendai Biti, the discord it brings into the movement, even into the unit of the party itself, because you start finding that you start creating various factions in terms of something which is completely false or something misinformed. There's no truth in some of these accusations. So I wanted him to respond on those ones and to find out how they are going to deal with those, because I find it quite necessary that when you have got such kind of important issues happening and also affecting your supporters or citizens, it's a right for the movement to bring in the spokesman or one of the leadership to come and just clarify on that position, so that at least there's no discord, and also there is no some kind of speculation in terms of those kind of accusations being thrown on the spaces. It's very important to maintain coherence, and also to maintain that trust within the citizens themselves, that the leadership is intact, that there is no discord in the leadership. I think that's my presentation.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. Let me bring in Mkoma Wanabi. Hey, Wanabi, should you say?
Bo Brajeza mrundinzwera.
Right. We just heard the presentations from Ostalos. And the question is, looking at everything, like all the issues that we'll be discussing, on the spaces and stuff like that. How satisfied are you in terms of clarity when it comes to some of those issues?
Thanks, Brajeza. It's let me start with my my highlights of the presentation before I address you.
Right. Go on.
Was that Padare who was asking a question under my name?
That was his original name. Before
Oh,
before he was banned, when under the old Twitter regime, he was using his original name. So when he was banned, that's when he came with the with the Padari. But he has been known by his original name, Michael Mtegeza.
no, that's good, because like it was a highlight, because I thought it maybe yeah, was one when it comes. Yeah, it was most likely.
But that was his original name. Yeah,
All right,
before
that's
before in the old Twitter regime, but bakazoya anzani mask akabva aita lift manhigea, but since padare ranga raita take center stage, he just alternates fanike zvinoita nhingi matigari nhingi namhofu vanongoita alternate between those two names depending kuti ada kuya neripi ada kuwanda neripi.
yeah, pakaipa. All right, right. So then the other thing also, I think Ostalos has done well, because I see my brother Blessing now is cooled down a bit, because before we went for the space, he was fuming in the previous one.
He was fuming. Right.
Right. My take homes, bra Jeza, is like, number one, that I liked when Ostalos says like the way he speaks, like if all the MPs could speak like that, I think the struggle, I think, would be shortened a bit, or would be easier to execute, because if people are ready to relinquish their positions, like, okay, if this is the situation, then we're no longer participating in parliament. Whatever remunerations, whatever rewards comes with it, but because it's not representing what we think, we can relinquish it, and then we start again and think another way of doing it. That's one thing I liked. And then also the fact that they have said it. It was said yesterday by Chamisa, and it seems like he has reiterated it, that they are not ready to take any action that is going to lead to the spilling of blood, of which that's the kind of radical action that most people have been thinking of or are always suggesting when they say they must do something. It's about that action, but that action, they are saying we are very cautious about it because we're not just going to call it because we know the implications. And for we always said it here, when those the implications, when they come to fruition, no one will be ready to say, no, this is what we wanted, this is what we agreed, let's face it together. Like what is highlighted, like people can be abducted, someone can be beaten or can be maybe assaulted by someone, then you meet him in the streets, you tell citizens, this is the guy who assaulted me. The citizens are not ready to take it into their hands. And that is the nature of Zimbabweans. But when we come here on X spaces, we become we speak like we speak like tigers that can even jump into a river and take a crocodile by the neck. But on the ground, in reality, we are all wearing petticoats. That's it's unfortunate, but that's the truth about it. So, in whatever way they execute the struggle, it must now we must not now find anyone bashing, like to say why are they not calling, because like the thing that most people don't stay direct when they say we want action, they're talking about demonstrations. But these guys are saying it clearly. It's not their path. They are not ready for that, and they doubt very much it will work because they understand the kind of people that they are working against, and also the kind of citizens that have been bred over a period of time. So I think that was my other take home. Then, like, has it changed me, like the way I have always been thinking? No, no, not per se, bra Jeza. I always believe, like, in this struggle, I think I'm one of those people that joined in 1999 when this struggle started, like to say, no, guys, we have to take off ZANU. That's where I started participating. And over the period of time, I've seen a lot. I was there, like I've been on the ground. I've also missed some bullets here and there, where you say people that you were with, that you did an activity with, and then tomorrow morning one of them is dead, the other ones are in the hospital. I've been in those situations. So going forward, like I don't expect much from other people that I am not ready myself to put my hands on, or that I'm not ready to participate. Like if I'm gonna say now, let's get arms and we're gonna fight ZANU PF, like the like a struggle. Let's change it to hold guns. I must be able to take mine also, carry it on my back, and go and face the regime.
Right.
If it's gonna be like demonstrations, I must be in the streets shouting or whatever with my regalia, sending the
Right.
message. But as long as I am not ready to do that, I'm never gonna blame other people like why they are not doing it. But in this struggle, I believe I still have a lot of hope and belief, and anything that I can do within my capacity, I'll always participate and help this struggle.
Mm.
Thanks,
I did see
Brajeza.
that. Right. There was, on the issue of the recall. The response, from Ostalos that is captured on the Citizen Coalition for Change, Twitter or X, handle, is like it's been noted down as saying that the disengagement ended yesterday, and currently they're undergoing a review process. And at the present moment, they are unable to make any political decisions since the case is before the courts. But there is an interesting point that is raised right there. where it was said that they are yet to explore all possible avenues to address the recall issue through consultation with key stakeholders. When we're speaking about key stakeholders and we're speaking about this issue of recalls, do you think one of those key stakeholders is Sabangu, and is there room right there? Did he, in his response, did do you think I'm asking the space? Do you think right there there's an indication that there might be room in there to have negotiations or consultations with the Tabangu himself, because he's the person who's responsible for these recalls, right? Kenneth, Chinyai, welcome to the space. Take the mic, please.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I've been following closely the this constitutional crisis that we are discussing about, and I'll be very honest with you. This is my thinking. I stand to be corrected, but from the onset, I believe that it is a CCC crisis. They created their own crisis. Like any party in the world, ZANU-PF is taking full advantage of that. I want to repeat that. ZANU-PF is taking full advantage of that. But the root cause for the crisis that we have at the moment, it's CCC itself. My understanding, I stand to be corrected by the panelist here. The information that I have is that it is a requirement in Zimbabwe that whenever the elections finish, the political parties with members in parliament, they give the speaker the constitution. And they indicate to the speaker who is responsible for recalls, who is going to be responsible for recalls. My understanding is that CCC didn't present that. They wrote a letter to the speaker, which is fine, but the speaker also, as a requirement, requires the constitution. This is the reason why when that guy Manyika wrote a letter to the speaker indicating that I'm recalling ZANU-PF people, the speaker didn't even look at him. Why? Because he had the constitution of ZANU-PF with him, which indicated who is responsible for what. I think, Uncle, the thing that must happen with CCC is that if anything happens, they should first self-criticize themselves. What didn't we do right? Because the moment they start putting ZANU-PF in, it blocks them from looking internally. What has happened? To be honest with you, if you want to be honest here, guys, there are some leaders in CCC who are not happy with the way things are going. You cannot tell me that all these big people, all of them, they had no say during the campaigns. They were just silent. They were just coming in sometimes they don't come in. And then you tell me they are happy. They are the ones who are triggering all this. I believe this Chabangu guy is not alone. There are some big people in CCC who either they are giving him advice. You know, I heard a small video, a small audio. It circulated online in which a reporter caught Pete saying, Chabangu rushed this thing. This guy was going to, Angachangu he was going to go down anyway. But Chabangu just created it. He should have just waited. This young man would have sunk anyway. So I don't know how authentic it is, but I get the voice.
Why are you subjecting us to hearsay?
Mirai.
No, wait.
Can you mute yourself, please?
But why are you subjecting us to hearsay?
No. I'm saying whenever I say something that I am not sure, I tell you that I'm not very sure, but I heard this.
But
I
you
have the
cannot
right
come
to.
to a
I can
statement
hear. You
of
can hear
things that you are
anything.
not sure
You
of.
can hear anything and say anything. So what I'm trying to say here is that my advice is this: they should first look at the things that they didn't do right. Because if you give credit to ZANU-PF for everything that happens in your party, why don't you ring fence your party? Why don't you make it so difficult for anyone to do anything to you constitutionally? Why? It is a sign of weakness. If you
Yeah,
are
well,
being,
but how
you
do we
said
know?
structures, you
Why?
said structures are weak. We don't want them. We want to do this. The thing that you do, one of your own. I want to believe, guys, this Chabangu guy is not a ZANU-PF guy. This Chabangu guy is not a ZANU-PF guy. He's a guy who was informed by the people like Ngube what he can do to undo Chamisa. Someone who knows the constitution very well advised him that, you know what you can do this and do this and do this. He will not do anything. And they look now where they are now. We are at a very big crisis, which could have been avoided if if they go to court, they are going to lose. Unfortunately, they will lose. Because the key thing that is going to be asked is the constitution. Can you show us your constitution? What does your constitution say about this and this and this? Did you hand in your constitution to the speaker? You didn't. So because of that, you have no basis. And it is the big people in CC who know that there is no constitution at the court, at the parliament, not ordinary guys in the street. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm not defending. I like Chamisa. He's a good, charismatic leader. And we like young people to take over the leadership of the. But there is a leadership deficiency in him, such that you cannot have a situation where Munzora comes and sweeps everything away. Chabangu comes and sweeps everything away. I mean, there is something wrong if it is like that.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let us, right. Let's go, guys. If somebody comes in, right, if you know that whatever this person, is saying, is not factual, and you want, to push back, we'll give you the opportunity of pushing back. But, unmuting yourself and try to disrupt the flow of the space, I'm sorry, I will remove you, from the space. If you then want to come back and push back against what, the person is, because here I've asked for reactions. Everybody was there on that space, and people were listening to that space, and people formed their own opinions. This is why we are saying, come here and react, right? So if you think that somebody is misrepresenting, facts, you have got the right, to push back, but let us do that in an orderly manner, such that when it comes, your turn, you'll be given, all the opportunity for you to do, the pushback. No interruptions, no nothing. Let the person, speak, jot down, what it is that, you don't agree with, and then when your turn, comes, you're going to, or immediately after that person, finishes, speaking, and then you can say, Uncle Jed, I want, to respond, to the, to the person, and I'll give you the opportunity, to speak. I will never muzzle, voices here. But let us just make sure that, this flows, and let us engage, each other in a way that allows for different, opinions, to be heard. And if you've got facts, please, you come through and, you put them, let us debate facts. You know what I've opened, this fact. I've opened, this here for people to come in here. You have got a right to come in and tell this person, "Good, look, what you're saying is not factual. These are the facts." But I'm just asking, Kuti, can I taura? You don't just open your mic and then, just say. If you want to interject, can you start by saying, Uncle Jet, I want to interject. What he's saying, is not, factual, and then we'll give you, the opportunity, to speak. Let us use, that language anyway. Right. Let me go to the next speaker. I'm Goma Clint. Should you say?
Uncle, I'm doing well. Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
That is on the children in me. All that's on the Vexicani. ungovhexika nenenge yako ndakazita vana kone clean. Right, anyway, take the mic.
Thank you, Ango. Yeah, I think I wanted to maybe to respond to just a few to Kenneth. I don't understand when he is saying we are running a big loss because of Shabangu. He is saying we as who he had never been Triple C. Since April, he has been attacking Chamisa. And then I don't understand where does he come in with an advice to say Triple C should have done this, should have done that, when he had never been Triple C. Him and those people who are disgruntled, whom he is called, he had actually classified as um, some of the senior people in the his tweets are always to say, I've actually spoken to someone did phone me and he is not happy about the direction of the party. Chamisa is doing that. There are people, if there are people, that is, if there is that are those senior people that are using people like him to air their grievances, then their political party careers are near to end. If they can start their own or something like that, and let's see who people following them, not to come and hiding under the other people. So there is no fiction like no, they should have done this, and how do you ask the oppressor, the people who are being oppressed, to say we blame you because you have, what is it that Chabang is doing which was not done by Douglas Wonzora? And if you are saying they should have been structures, they were there in the MDC alliance, but the recall was actually done. ZANU-PF, when they finished paying Wonzora, then they left him. Now they are using Shabang. Shabang at the moment, he is the person in charge of the army, in charge of the police, in charge of the courts. All of what happened here is that Mnangagwa gave him the power because he's doing his work, which they have instructed him. If you want to see, Jonathan Moyo used to tweet every day, every hour. He's not doing that because he's busy with Sabango, telling me him what to do and where to go as well. So I find it very difficult that then you say, no, Triple C should have done that, and they are not crying for something which they have created. No, what has been created here is that the institutions are captured. They are captured by Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF. Those are the things that you should talk about. How do we then do that? Because they are captured and everything is being done there to destroy or either to have one party state. I don't know, but you guys can know, because with these other senior people you are talking about, those people must come out and they must stop using you. Thank you, Ango.
Right. Thank you very much. There's a comment or question for you, Kenneth. Irikubva kuna East 8001. Atara kuti iye kuti, how does a political party ring fence? Chimomira kuita unmute your mic, please, because there's a feedback that is coming through. Right. So, how does a political party ring fence itself against the expansive network of state institutions? What you are failing to recognize is that even the most frivolous of reasons for recall will be entertained by complicity state institutions. How do you respond, to that, given, what you said, earlier on?
Okay, I will respond this in this way. In this instance, some people will not like it, but Monzora mentioned something 2 days ago, which I considered very, very important. Monzora said that what happens is that, according to the Constitution, the moment Parliament
No. That is not according to the Constitution.
I'm coming there.
It is as a practice.
Okay, okay. The parties that have got members in parliament, they must hand in their constitution to the speaker. And they must hand in a letter to the speaker indicating who is responsible for communication with the speaker. And according to what is there on the ground right now, it is a fact. CCC didn't do that. They only wrote a letter as an afterthought, because according to the facts that are there, this is no hearsay. The constitution was not ready. Didn't have the constitution to give to the speaker. Now the speaker will only act as per the constitution that he has received. I'm not defending the speaker. I'm not defending anything. We can never progress if we don't self-criticize. You don't have to go outside first without looking at things that you could have done to avoid what is happening. And the people from CC don't want to be told that you made a mistake. They want to blame other people, not themselves. And mark my words, I'll come back here on Space one day. You hear that they have lost the case in court. Not because it's captured, but because they don't have the facts. The facts are not right because they didn't do the right thing. So you ring-fence yourself by making sure when you are dealing with a machine like ZANU-PF, you need to be more clever than them to beat them. Otherwise, if you're not clever than them, you are fighting someone. The only way you can be a victor, you must have better tactics than the person you are fighting. Now, ZANU-PF, if you don't have the tactics to fight it, you never win anything.
Right.
You always be on the crying side.
Okay.
So my point I'm making is that Chamisa must be careful in the way that he is managing his things constitutionally, making sure there is no room for error. No, making sure that everything is done according to the constitution of Zimbabwe, of whatever, of CCC. That's the only way he can beat them to their own game. Thank you.
Right. If you can mute your mic, please. Right. On the issue that you are referring to, maybe I can put some clarity there. What Douglas Monzora said is the practice, or is something that maybe they've done before. When people are elected, right, and people are going to parliament. The practice is, I think that is what they did. And if you look at the letter that was written by Nelson Chamisa on the 11th, I think it speaks to that practice. That the practice is you write to the speaker, you provide them with the list of your deployees, which means the members of parliament. Anyway, the speaker should already have this list on the basis that these people are already elected. And they are sworn in, so it means they are known. The speaker must have knowledge of who is who in terms of the political parties. But for the political parties to safeguard themselves, not that it is a constitutional requirement, because there's nothing in the constitution that speaks to that, is for them to write to the Speaker of Parliament, sort of advising the Speaker of Parliament that these are our deployees. And with regards to these, deployees, any communication that pertains, to their welfare, to their status, to their whatever, has to come from so and so, and these are their signatures. These are the people, that are responsible, for that. And the letter that was written by Nelson Chamisa on the 11th, it actually states that to say that anything pertaining to these deployees of ours from CCCC, if there's any correspondence that comes to you, that correspondence must come from the office of the president. And that letter was signed Advocate Nelson Chamisa. The address is there, the signature is there, and everything is there. And so that is the end of it. Say that the requirement of the constitution again, it is not something that is a constitutional requirement that they must put in the court, but for the sake of just making everything clear then a constitution can help in facilitating in terms of providing the information that so and so will be responsible for this, so and so will be responsible for this. So that is what Douglas Monzora was saying. But the point that I wanted to correct Mkoma is that is not a constitutional requirement. It is never a constitutional requirement. Right. Let me go to the next speaker, Manu Patilo. Potilo. Yes, how are you? And please, can you take the mic?
Thank you very much, Uncle, and the other speakers and the other people on the space. I've been listening to sort of the spaces for a very, very long time. Most of the time, terraces. But today I went to the other one, it's Triple C one, just to get sort of an answer on the issue that we've been talking about a lot lately. Yeah, Chabang. I wanted an answer to sort of get an answer to that, and my thinking was the issue most probably must emanate from the formation ACCC. So I was looking for clarity whether there's a separation between MDC Alliance and Triple C, and fortunately that was the first question that was asked. But it was sort of generic. So when Austalos answered, he didn't necessarily touch exactly on the Chabang issue. But from my understanding, he gave an impression that Triple C has got nothing to do with MDC Alliance. Now, I might have been wrong in my understanding, but that's what I took. But why I needed that sort of clarification is where is Chabang getting all this sort of power or kaunas that he has to make these recalls? I think that's where the issue is. Because when he says he sort of one of his demands is to let's go back to the Gweru settings, right? So if you go back to the Gweru settings, Triple C and I set up when there was the Gweru settings, it was MDCA. So by so saying, then he will be more or less linking Triple C to MDCA, right? So then that brings us to the question: what baking yake iripap? I think that is a question that a lot of people have asked, and there's a lot of sort of theories and thinking. There's sort of the part I wanted Osalos to answer, but unfortunately it wasn't put to him directly like that in the manner that I thought it would be. But he sort of touched on it. So that's what I sort of picked up from that space. That I think that's the thing. That's the bit that needs more clarification. I think maybe if I had a chance, I would have asked him that direct question. I know Zed tried to sort of touch on it a couple of days ago, but I'm not so sure what he sort of know that I'm doubting where he got the information from, but I don't know what's the word? I sort of but more or less like where you got the information from to confirm that there must have been a conversation between Chabang or when CCC went into Buluwayo, and then there must have been a conversation with Chabang, then it became disgruntled. So there's still a lot of questions around the Chabang issue. So that's one. The second thing that I picked up, which I've always had a question in my mind, is the issue to educate young people or even the Zimbabweans in general, especially the people that are on the ground. In terms of, he started briefly right at the end, the issue about educating people about the role of the government or the parliamentarians. That at the minute we have the Herbert Chitepo School of Ideology that's churning out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young people who are basically brainwashed. To me, I feel there's another challenge that we have, that how do we convince those people to come, more or less to come to our side, to see that things, the way things are at present, that's not right. We can't continue in this vein. So those are sort of the two things that are sort of picked up. I know there's a lot of other things that were spoken about, but those are the two things that I just sort of picked up from the spaces. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I want to bring in Ma, who inquired on the question of Sabangu. I want to come through so that she can give us the response that was given to her with regards to that question. Please take the mic.
Thank you, Gerrard. Thank you. I've heard a few people mentioning Chabangu, and Ostalos was very clear about who Chabangu is, and he was also clear about whether the role of an SG exists in their current party. I believe at the time when I asked him, my question to him was, how can Chabangu be confused about his role in the party? And he pointed to 5 points. And a lot of what he was saying was that there was a creeping sense of entitlement and a culture of impunity from the party elite. So obviously there were some people who were part of the formation of the party, I think in 2019 or whatever the case. So he was saying that they have that culture or sense of entitlement, and he referenced his years as a youth serving in MDC and the behavior of some of the elites in those times. And I believe Chabangu would have been part and parcel of that. And what he suggested was that some of those elites reflected ZANU PF behaviors, and those were some of the behaviors that they've been trying to prune out of Triple C. So obviously they do their consultations with the citizens. That's what he said. He said they also consult within themselves as a body, and of course they will have some heavy discussions. So he said some of those behaviors that had come up from the elites are the ones that are causing the bastardization, and due to them being dismissive of new ideas, or them, showing behaviors of ZANU. And then he also mentioned something about one of the things that was questioned from the yesteryears was the question of roles. And one of those roles was that of a secretary general. And he said that if you look across maybe our politics in Zimbabwe, the role of SG has caused so much conflict. And the new Triple C had decided that that role should not exist at all in the new movement. So he is saying that role does not exist in the current Triple C, and Chabangu should not have been confused about that at all. But of course, if he's going to be displaying the personality of the elite, he will come up with that entitlement culture. So he says that there's a difference between yesteryear structures and today's roles and responsibilities. So the people who are actually working within the party are very clear as to who is doing what where. There shouldn't be any confusion. But of course, there are existing discussions between the old school and I guess the new school. And also, Gerrard, I wanted to also speak to something, I think you mentioned it earlier. It was something that Monzora had mentioned about the role of the speaker in parliament. And Monzora had also highlighted the fact that he was part of the people that had written, I guess, the description of what the speaker was meant to do.
Yeah, the recall clause, yes.
Yeah. And he did actually say that there was a fault in how it was written because it does highlight a vulnerability in how the speaker does his role. And this was something that he felt needed to be reviewed as soon as possible. So whether the speaker was actually fulfilling his role constitutionally, it suggests that under the current structure, yes, he is. But unfortunately, it's a faulty structure. So I hope that helps with the discussion. That's all I wanted to say.
Right. Thank you very much for that. I listened to the Sabangu interview, the one that he had with Ezra in the afternoon. And I really wanted, to figure out exactly where Chabangu is coming from and why he's doing, what he's doing, and why we've gotten to this stage. One thing, there are several things that he highlighted, which to me, when I'm looking at this, it just boggles the mind. Uh, he says he's targeting criminals around Nelson Chamisa, and these criminals are criminals because they during the candidate nomination process, these people ignored the official list or ignored the list of those, or ignored the people that had come first in the areas that the selection process was taking place. And so if you want to be looking at this, these individuals, they didn't they did not indicate that they've joined another political party. There's no way that indicates that these individuals belong to another political party. But these individuals are being punished by Shabangu or his, by his, doing on the basis that he gave an example of David Coulthard, and he said David Coulthard was not even, the first, preference, but David Coulthard ended up, being, the mayor. He gave an example of Pasho and said, Pasho was not, the first preference, but Pasho ended up, being the, the person that was, put forward. So in his book, what Chabangu is saying, Kuti, even the section 1291K that, is referring to, does not even apply, to these people, does not even apply to this, in this instance. Because if he wants that to apply, and him occupying the position that he has bestowed upon himself, what is basically saying is he's just chasing away people from the movement on the basis of the fact that he does not like them. We can make that conclusion. That is just chasing away people from the movement, because these people somehow got a preferential treatment, and because these people got a preferential treatment, and he does not want them to be in the political party, and he's chasing them away. But him relying on clause on section 1291K of the constitution that speaks to somebody having been or somebody ceasing to be a member of a political party, because when somebody ceases to be a member of a political party, usually that person would voluntarily renounce their membership to a political party, or the political party would look at this individual and say that you have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things, and because of that, we are chasing you away from the party, and you are no longer a member of our political party. So when you listen, to that whole 23-minute, conversation that he had na Ezra, there are so many questions, that remain unanswered. But when, my conclusion was, there is more to this than what is letting on. Because surely, relying on 1291K is not, sufficing here, because it does not even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So I think, the more we go into I don't know how this court case, is going to pan out. But as we are going more and more into these conversations, there are some truths that are beginning to be coming out. Excuse my French. This is just messed up. But anyway, Citizen Z, take the mic.
Manje Anko Ged mukati Citizen ataure isusu tobva tatonyarara because anenge adisplaya mapoints edu. Zvinoita ere izvozvo naye mukoma Ged?
Before I even hear them, Anko Ged, I hope you all good. What can I? Actually, today we're doing opinions, so Do you know what I wrote the other day, Anko Ged? On the post. Can you hear me, guys? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So what I wrote on the other day, because obviously you have to be honest with your words, so you can't delete it. Yeah, but I take that back. I do not know what the next 5 years is going to be, but whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be what we think it's going to be. Whatever strategies they're going to make, they're not going to turn around and be strategies that prove anything. There is a lot of creating the bus while it is moving. There is a lot of putting in sentiments that balance an argument, not the reality. And then you make the argument real. And that's very dangerous. There's a lot of things that Osteros said that I do not know whether it flew on people over the people's heads, but it does not make sense. And if it makes sense, it is bad. So here's why I'm going with it. Does not make sense. There's a lot of statements that, honestly, people, are red alarm bells. I'll give you one. Appointments of burials. If that is in their constitution, that is bad. Very bad. If everything is on appointments, that means there is no Congress. Because who are you going to elect when everyone is appointed constitutionally? That is not right. Unless it is just a statement for now, and then later on they are going to flip to things. And they've got a role now. Turns out they've got a department for the one that turns around and holds secretary roles. So that means if they've got that department, that means there's a person on top of that department, because all cannot be level, or maybe they are level, but then that is problematic. I wish what they are saying is just political rhetoric. It is not going to turn around and manifest into reality. Because if it does, that is problematic. Secondly, whatever Chabango is doing to them, their only faith here is on courts. If the courts do not go their way, they've got no other move. Not saying that they do not have any other moves. They've got moves, but I don't think they will take them. And I think if they take them, they won't stick to them. They put out a strategy 2 weeks ago. That was foreseeing strategy. Yeah, it was not a 2-week strategy like what most of my friends think. It was a 2 weeks is what we are telling you, and then escalation based on something not moving. Something did not move, did not respond. And that from what I heard, there is no appetite for any escalations. They have no appetite. Let's put it this way. Last 5 years is this 5 years. The only difference between last 5 years and this 5 years is the language has got more repose. And if you are a person that used to turn around and like American films and British films, yes, you turn around and pick your bags and wait at the door. But if you're a dum-dum like me, that words have to go with actions. No. You put your bags underneath the mattress or on top of the wardrobe and go and do something else. Because how Chabang is going to react is not going to be the only thing. If he goes through this court case, he's going to hit again and they're going to lay down. He's going to hit again and they're going to lay down. And they're going to turn around and take the pressure and then do irrational reactions. Because let's be honest, Parliament has turned around, or what they are suffering from now has become what we termed during Monzora's time a Monzora paradox. And I don't think CCC is having a Monzora paradox. And by the way, Monzora paradox is when turned around and pulled out from elections, yet these people stayed in. But at the end of the day, we discovered later on that the reason why they stayed in is because it was their own thing. And you're going to have that. But you're going to have a CCC paradox. On top of that, you're going to have a Chabang paradox. Yes, you guys heard, but for me, what I was listening to, bags back, honestly. Unless someone turns around and explains about... Explain what? About elected people. No, it was a rhetorical question. A constitution is not coming out. Because if it does, therefore the thing has to flip because you can't constitute that. If what Ostaro said is in their constitution, that is crazy. Here's why I'm taking it as a political rhetoric. Because if I take it serious, honestly, bad. Thank you.
Anko Ged, I think I'm next. Can I shoot? I need to respond to Citizen Z. And also agree with you.
No, Rosie.
Some of the points that
No, Rosie was coming through next. Okay. Yeah, we'll know after Rosie.
Thanks.
Anko Ged, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. I want to debunk this theory. It is a triple C in-house fight. A lie that's that we should never tolerate, we should never accept in the progress of Zimbabwe. And so that as a country, after elections, talking of development of a country, we are talking of having another.
Right, Rosie, your network is very poor, my friend. It's very, very poor. We can't hardly make out, what you're trying to say. It's very, very poor. So can I kindly ask you to go, to sort out, your network? In the meantime, I'll bring Smarters, to come through. But Rosie, apologies, my friend. It's your network, but if I can drop you, and then you request, and then I'll bring you, back up. Whilst we are doing that, Smarters, take the mic. Ndimo Dylan ngina mukoma wangu ngirozi ndimboona please
Okay.
tingawagadzirise sei.
All right. Thank you so much, Anko Ged. Anko Ged, I wanted to agree, with your sentiments, the points that you were mentioning. You will notice that these are the same things that we've been trying to tell Citizens Z for the past almost 3 weeks now. Say, Chabangu case relies on section 129 1K. And that section talks about someone ceasing to be a member of political party. So you will need to demonstrate out that all those people that he recalled from parliament, they ceased to be members of Triple C. If he cannot do that, I think he also need to explain why he had to lie to the Speaker of Parliament and why he had to lie to the citizens of Zimbabwe. And I don't think he would have to do that. So just to demonstrate that those people, that he recalled, because the reason, the provision of the law that he quoted, it speaks to that effect, nothing else, to the fact that someone has seized. Because remember, 1K is coming on a section which is dealing with the ways in which members of parliament, they can seize their membership in the August House, right? So issues to do with death, the same way like if you were to go into a court, we are dealing with a murder case, you will be expected to provide, it could be an autopsy report, death certificate, the manner of death, how this person died, and also there will be questions around the identification of the body of the corpse to say, yes, indeed, this person is dead. The body was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner and all that. So the question that we need to ask Chabangu is, okay, your reason was these MPs, because they are 15, right? These MPs, you said they ceased to be members. So now this, if you listen to the press conferences, they are not helping his case. Because now if you are going to say the recalls, they were informed by the fact that these candidates were imposed. Section 129 1K does not deal with that, right? So that giving a reason to say this person was imposed and they were voted into the office, through Triple C. You need to demonstrate that they have seized. And I will repeat, my argument, something that I said 3 weeks ago. Say, this case is different from Monzora's case, and now I'm going to Citizens Z's presentation. In that, in 2020, there was a Court ruling, right? So you will notice, a Supreme Court ruling. So you will notice that the recalls that were made, they were made reference to the Supreme Court ruling, and pursuant to that, there were some affidavits that were completed by the members of parliament, by the MPs, right? Right. And those MPs, they were, I think this was in solidarity with the president and their president, who happens to be my president as well, President Nelson Chamisa, to say, no, we are not going back to 2014 structures. We now have our new political party, and that political party is called MDC Alliance. So now Monzara was saying, no, but you were voted into the office through the MDCT ticket. So by the fact of you siding or supporting another political party, and according to the constitution, the MDC constitution, there was a section, or there is a section which deals with that specifically, to say the moment you show allegiance, the moment you support another political party, then your termination is automatic, right? So right now what we are dealing with It's a different case altogether. Someone who just came up with a letter. A letter, if you look even the letter, it does not even have an address. So it came up with a letter, put their title there as an interim SG. So the issue of him being an interim SG, while it can be argued in court, that's not where the real issue is. The real issue is not on his title. The issue is not on the constitution, right? I can hear people trying to say, hey, you need to have a constitution. You need to have, the issue is not on the constitution. The issue is on Chabangu demonstrating that these members, these MPs, they had ceased to be, members of Triple C. So while we are in the court, Anko Gerrard, I was listening to my brother Citizen Z when he was speaking to say, Triple C, their only faith is in the courts. And my question that I would then ask him, why are courts, why do we have courts in Zimbabwe? The courts are there to resolve disputes. And when you look at the parliament, how it runs, and the fact that you taught our citizens to say the Speaker of Parliament is not there to adjudicate. So which means there's someone who's got a responsibility of providing this adjudication. Yes,
Matters. There's also something,
yes.
that he said when he was asked about the CCC constitution. He skated around that, and then he said the powers are given by the national constitution.
You see?
So he has jumped to the national constitution to just say, okay, there's the national constitution. I'm jumping to that national constitution, and I'm saying that I'll just read you on the basis of that. It's crazy.
Exactly. That's very true. Remember, Anko Jedza, sometime this week, there was a colleague who came up and said, Chabangu submitted a constitution. I think that was Gaffa. And the question that we asked Gaffa was, did you see the constitution? Right? So the fact that someone has said, please find here in and attach the constitution, you cannot use that as factual and as evidence to say someone else. And as we can see right now, there was no constitution that was submitted. But let me just go ahead and respond to Citizen Z. So there was an issue of courts being there to dispute the, to provide, to help, with amicable dispute resolution. So for you to say the faith of Triple C is just in Triple C, you are stating the obvious. So after the recalls, the next thing that was supposed to happen was for us to approach the courts. Then from the courts, those courts have got power and authority to indict or to tell the Speaker of Parliament either to reverse their decision. Otherwise, without pronouncement from the courts, we'll have a problem. So that's why you notice the 14 days were very important. Say we are going to disengage in these 14 days, but disengagement, as it was explained by the deputy spokes, right? It meant it paved the way for some dialogues, for some consultations with key people, Speaker of Parliament included. That's why we saw, the leaders going through to his office to say, but how did you do this? Maybe from those engagements, that's when decisions or deliberations were made to say, you know what, according to section what, and their current standing rules and all that, I have made an announcement. You cannot then, through a press conference, ask me to say, you need to resolve that or you need to reverse that, right? Without following proper procedure. Otherwise, Chabangu will also need, you also need Chabangu a platform where he can be heard. And that platform is the court. So our faith is in the court, yes. Right? So there's going to be court, there's going to be a court ruling. Then after that, I think the spokes spoke about the issues to do with demonstrations and all that. Then the second issue that you spoke about appointments, Ango. And you were saying, if what the spokes were saying is what is in the constitution, then we have a problem. I don't know where you are, why you want to exaggerate this. Because if you could give me one example of a political party that has gone to an elective Congress to elect a spokesperson, I'm yet to see that. A political party that has gone to an elective Congress, trying to elect a spokesperson. Usually, spokespersons, they are nominated by could be by the president of that political party. So I think that deputy spokes, he spoke about the appointments that are made by the president. But obviously, when you go to a Congress, I think there are those positions where you would expect, some elections to happen of some sort, right? But this is according to what we are used to or what we are accustomed to in terms of the traditional way of going
Where are
through
you
the
getting that from?
Congress. Let
Where are
me
you
just
getting?
finish. Alrighty, right? So that's the traditional way of doing things. But as far as Triple C is concerned, as a
What happened?
oh yeah, you muted me. I was muted by the either Mofela or right. So maybe my last 2 points there was so the the deputy spoke. I think he covered the appointments that can be made by president, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Then the last point that I just wanted to mention, you spoke about Chabangu being able to hit again, right? Chabangu cannot do that. Otherwise, we're stopping him to do that. The last letter, was 21 days ago. So what makes you think that, he can just do it? He cannot do that right now because the Speaker of Parliament is a respondent of the case that's before the court right now in as far as this dispute is concerned. So we are waiting. The Speaker of Parliament is also waiting to hear what's going to happen. And even if he was going to make an announcement right now and recall some people, we are talking about just a matter of 6 or so days, because the 2nd of November is just next week on Wednesday. That's when we are going to this. That's when we are going to see what's going to come in terms of the outcome of the case. Right. So I think that's just that in terms of yes. Titus.
This Chabangu guy, I don't know if you saw a clip of his interview with Ezra Sibanda. Did you watch it?
I don't pay attention to him. I didn't, man. Like I saw some clips, but I didn't get time to listen to him.
No, good way. So basically, he was saying we are actually, and he always uses we, and he did mention the fact that we're actually going to Gweru, Mtare, and other cities because people want us, because people have been asking him, are you doing it in other cities? Are you recalling? Because we, according to him, we feel the same way you did in Bulawayo, and he said yes, we are actually going to other cities, so we'll be doing this. And to be fair, when the guy is speaking, you just feel sorry for him. But the way he did mention that we obviously he doesn't say I, and he did mention that the recalls will be coming fast and thick, according to him and whoever he meant.
Which is a good thing, right? Which is a good thing. Yes. Then you will need to find a proper provision in the Constitution that deals with that. Otherwise, an argument to say someone has ceased to be a member of political party, it just falls and it's flawed and it falls on its face. I think that's where the issue is. If you say Titus has ceased to be a member of this political party, there has to be some process according to the national constitution, since that's where he's drawing his power and authority from. A constitution, what does it say before you dismiss someone? Is there arbitration? Were there some hearings that took place? Do we have any minutes to that effect? Then the decision, was it communicated to this person, right? Based on their constitution, right? But you cannot then just come up with a process, and you try to impose it just because you want it to suit your narrative. Someone has ceased to be a member of a political party. You just need to prove. How did you come up with a list of 15? Why 15? Why not 20? Why not 50? Why not 100? Why not all the MPs just like that? So there has to be some methodology. If you cannot prove that, then there's a problem.
Right. Citizen Z, you wanted to respond quickly, and then we'll move on to new speakers.
No worries, Angus. Quick response. When Chabanga turned around and spoke about the national constitution, because the question was asked about his constitution, and he refers, when Chabanga responds to the national constitution, Ezra had asked him about his own constitution. Yes. Then he explains to Ezra that it's not the recall is to deal with the national constitution because you're taking people from parliament. That's what he meant. That is going to use the 219K because that is in the national constitution. So that's how he's responding. Now, the power that Chabang turns around and gets is in two folds. He's the first one to put the letter in, therefore it creates line of communication. Second, Chabang has never said that he is the interim secretary of all the CCC. This is where people turn around and mistake it. It is a misquote that has grown legs. If the others are going to go to court and argue that, they will find that the original statement does not even say that. He has always said, I've been picked by people. Yeah? The same way that Chamisa was picked by people.
No, citizens, that you're not telling the truth.
Why would I lie? I've always said the same thing. These spaces are recorded. I don't have to lie. I don't have to lie. You can. This is why I don't lose. Because I tell the truth. He never said that. It is something that Twitter just ran with it. And if you are going to go to court with that one,
you are the one who started it on this space.
This is what I'm saying. I don't.
You started it on this space. Yes, you started it on this space.
No, let's understand this.
Yes.
Citizen Z, you are saying, Kuti, Chabangu was chosen by people.
Yes.
To be in that capacity as the Secretary General.
Yes.
For him to make recalls that affect a party that has got a national leadership.
Yes.
Is he part and parcel of the national leadership for him to make another call?
This is when now the question is, but Anko, that is going to be put in court.
No, Citizen Z. That's why I'm saying Citizen Z is not telling the truth.
No,
why am I saying
why would
this?
I lie? That's why I come to the spaces. I
you
don't
said why. You
when
do.
I want to do propaganda, hold on. When I want to do propaganda,
on this point you are. No. On this point you are.
Relax.
Citizen Z, when we had the first space, right?
Yes.
You touched on three things.
Yes.
Citizen Z, and I'm going to quote you on the things that you touched on, right?
Yes.
You said, and you are addressing the host, Anko Ged.
Yes.
And you said, Anko Ged, this is what Chabangu did, right? And you were responding to my question to say, the Speaker of Parliament was supposed to do some due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Then you said the Speaker of Parliament looks at these things. So you said, one, there is a letter, and it's on letterheads.
Yes.
Right? That's the first thing.
Yes.
And this letter is on letterhead. That's CCC letterhead. Then two, the second thing that you touched on was on the wording to say, he said someone had ceased to be a member of a political party. So Citizens that you put ceased in quotes for that purpose of winning the argument on that day. Then the third thing that you touched on was on the signature and the title, Interim Secretary General. All right, so you are the one who introduced that the first time we came to a space when we were deliberating on Chabangu's case, right? So you were saying, now that we have this, then that's it. It's all done. The Speaker of Parliament's role is just to read the letter. Then from there, the recourse. And then you referred us, citizens, that you referred us to the Hansard, you referred 100%. Me to the court cases, you referred me to, so it was in that space. I'm just trying to jog 100%. Your memory here. So that my memory is always sharp. Yes, your memory is always sharp, but somehow you wanted to change your position. So in terms of, this is what I see. And in that space, my argument was, we are not dealing with the title. To say someone is claimed to be an interim secretary general, that alone is not enough. But the claim to say, or the allegation to say someone is ceased to be a member of a political party, that's where the issue is. Right? Then you were like, no, it doesn't work like that. You spoke about letterhead and trying to justify that argument, citizens, that I'll quote you again. You said, when this law came into effect, we did not have photocopiers. That's right? True. We did not have technology. So this law did
Here's what I'm
not
saying.
know that
You're not
someone
understanding
may
what I'm
come
saying.
up with a fake
Let me
letterhead.
explain to
You were
you.
just
Right.
trying. No,
Okay.
I
Hold
understood.
on. Let me
Okay.
explain, because
Okay.
you caught me before I finish.
Smarters. Let him continue. Tinswe, Kudizo, where is he going, with his argument? Right.
I'm
Yes.
saying, Uncle Ted,
Go on.
yes, that he said on the first day he's picked by people. They are the ones that put him in that position. Yeah. Unless the argument becomes bring the people to see. This is why he referenced that he's picked the same way. He keeps on repeating it. Is what Chamisa was picked by people. Yeah. It's a appointment.
Hold on.
What does the Constitution say? Do you have the same mistake and hope that in 2028 we are going to continue under this path? It is my office that has taken the center stage as a chief administrator, that we shape the party so that we become competitive when it comes for the future elections. Do you have a constitution in your party? Yes, we have the interim constitution. We can't have there's no party that can live from a vacuum. Even if... What does the constitution say? The triple C question. Does it allow for such recalls that you have to go through certain hearings, or you can act on anything and recall somebody? I think recalls are prescribed in the national constitution. Right. So whether our constitution does not provide that, but the national constitution supersedes the establishment or the party constitutions. So it is enshrined. Any body or any party that feels the MP does not serve the interests of the particular party that promoted that individual into the parliament, they have got the right to recall. So we have revoked that section 129K.
Right. So listening to him and referring to section 1291K, does that section 1291K speaks to what he's saying right now?
100%.
100%.
Yes, 100% it does.
Qualify your statement. Qualify your 100%.
Because that's one of the amendments that they wanted to put in that section. Because that section does not speak of anything besides a party turning around and saying the member does not belong to the party. There have been other recalls where they've recalled members and still members belong to the party.
How come the Tafazwa letter was ignored?
That's a different story.
How is it a different story? Because we are saying anybody can write. Because what he's saying anybody can write a letter. Anybody can recall. So this
yes,
Tafazwa, what's his name? Tafazwa Manyika guy decided to write a letter to the Speaker of Parliament, recalling 70 members of Parliament belonging to ZANU-PF, the same way that Ushabangu wrote a letter. So where is the difference there in terms of just writing and notifying the Speaker of Parliament?
There is no difference. The only difference is maybe we did not turn around and chase the Tafazwa's letter to turn around and see whether it actually, where is it? Is it in Parliament? Why is it not being asked? No one has chased that.
No, but we
just
deliberated on that, and we even said that that letter is got a stamp. But now the thing is, okay, fine. You might say, "Good wait." Okay, no, I now hear you, because there was this issue of the stamp. But still, that's
what I'm trying to say, uncles, is this:
the guy is not a real person, guys. People investigated about that person.
Anyone in a party can write a letter. It does not specify who. This is the problem with that act, with that bit of the clause.
Right.
What he's speaking of is it does not matter what your party has. The only way you can recall members of Parliament belonging to your party is to say that they cease to be a member.
And anybody can write that.
There's evidence where members have been recalled of political parties yet still belonged to the political party.
Which
No one
evidence
goes
is
back
that?
and chases that. There
Give
is
us the evidence.
again.
Which one?
Hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, give
There
us
is
the
there
case.
is again
Can we use the
evidence.
Tendai BT as an example that he was recalled and yet he still belonged to the political party?
Anko Jedza, it is a 30 payment.
Hold on.
Which evidence? Yeah, give us this. Give us.
Hold on.
Because Temba
Hold
Mliswa
on.
had seized Nadid Masimtasa. Back then, from ZANU-PF, they had been fired from ZANU-PF, and he still remains fired anyway. Thokozani Kupe, if you check the Thokozani Kupe case, he was fired from MDCT then, and also the fact that she was not attending meetings. And if you go to
Do you remember?
PDP,
Hold on.
no,
You are going with big names. Do you
no, I'm
remember
not
the
going with
guy?
big names.
Hold on. That's why I said you are going with big names. Do you remember the guy that turned around and done the press statement a couple of days ago from Blawai? The old guy.
The who?
The old guy that was done the press statement from Blawai saying they're the elder. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was recalled while he still belonged to the party.
Ooh.
He was never fired from the party.
Which part was it?
MTC.
He was recalled by who?
By MTC. Who else can recall you?
Ooh, which MDC? And when was this?
At the time when MTC was MTC. Come on, guys.
What do you mean? Give us the dates.
What you mean? Now you want me to give you the date? You don't even know. Now you
don't just come to a space and say that guy from the.
Hold on.
Give us the name and the date.
I gave you the person.
What is his
name?
No, don't give us the face.
Hold on.
What's his name?
Hold on. That's why I say, do you remember the guy?
What is his name?
Just give us the name.
Hold on. So why did you agree and say you remember the guy that done the press statement?
I never agreed.
There was elder.
So that's good. That's good. He was the only one talking.
Right.
No,
Okay, guys. Let us
hold on. Let me finish. You're not debating now. You're just.
So this matters. You're asking him to give you a name, right?
Yes.
Right. Citizen Z, can you provide a name?
Is that guy that turned around and done the press statement?
Which press statement?
The Bulawayo one with the elders.
Oh, you mean what's his name? Is it I can't thingy. It's HLALO. How do you pronounce that?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's called. I think his name is called Maston.
So,
something like that.
Let me give you another one.
No, let's deal with that one. No, let's deal with the other one first. What's his name? So go back and look at the question.
No, say what Uncle has told you.
No.
I think it's Maston. Let me see.
Maston who?
The last name is spelled HLALO.
That's good. Now, there's been other cases where party members have moved to other parties, yet still belonged to as MPs of that party that they've moved away from, and they were never recalled. It is the decision of the party to pick and choose. Yeah. From 2002 all the way now, there have been various systems of actually pushing. Another one becomes a Mozora. Some of the MPs knew that they were not even coming to the MTC meetings, but they belonging to CCC, never recalled them. It was the choice of MTC to do that. It is therefore the choice of a party. The only way you can recall is to say the member has ceased to be a member. That's what you're speaking of. Whether the member turns around and sees it or not, that is up to you.
But this is
all right. So
okay.
That's a deal.
Don't you think?
Ango Jedza, ndawana file rempressing kwa. Ngati kupay kama reasons ake
I got 2016.
Yes.
But before you do that, I wanted to then ask Citizen Z, the issue Yekuti the speaker is notified of a list of the deployees, the signatures or the signatories responsible for the welfare of those people in terms of any correspondence records, stuff like that. Doesn't that then become the mechanism for stopping this? What you're saying, with anybody from a political party can write a letter to recall, somebody. Isn't that is the mechanism that has been put in place to stop that, from happening? Because if under 1291K we are saying that anybody can, write, a letter, and the speaker, we deliberated on the issue of the speaker, that the speaker does not adjudicate. The speaker just looks at the letter, satisfies himself or herself that this letter is coming from a political party. It is recalling an individual that was elected under their ticket, and this letter saying that this person ceases to be a member of their political party. This is what we spoke about and said that is the role of the Speaker of Parliament. But surely there must be some mechanism that then protects political parties from a one-term recall by anybody that feels like kuna Speaker of Parliament, but I'm now recalling anyway, I'm now recalling a member of that bill. Surely there has to be a mechanism, that speaks to that in terms of protecting political parties. And I think this is what Douglas Monzora was speaking to Kuti, before the start of any legislative, any parliamentary business. That information has to be passed on to the Speaker of Parliament, because the Speaker of Parliament creates a file for each and every political party to say, well, this is a file of ZANU-PF, this is a file of CCC, or this is a file of MDC. So any correspondence that comes in terms of informing the speaker is put in there, so that when a letter comes, the speaker, when the speaker is satisfying themselves, that is a check that they need to do as well. Because if you've got a file of a political party, it will be prudent for you to just go to that file quickly, skim through, look at the correspondence that you got, and if it is the issue of the signatures, understand the signatures that are there, and then you compare, so that you stop anybody from recording people. Because if you want to operate with the law of the jungle like that, like like we are in a Tarzan movie, then it doesn't work.
Angus, I'll explain it to you this way. If what you are saying is true, that means what they were trying to do in 2021, they were trying to recreate the wheel. When they turned around and when Kemba put a motion in, they were wanting to put systems or processes of the Speaker of the House, processes that are not in existence. They wanted to codify it, yeah, because there were no processes. It was just letter, receive, announce. That's all it is. This is what they speak about even in Parliament, to say this thing is dangerous. But at that time, they did not foresee a rogue element coming in and putting a letter. There is no systems. You can take the file, yes, but there is no way in that procedure that says take the file and put in that you can use in court. Parliament is just doing it.
In that file, citizens or question, in that file, there is a procedure which says there has to be someone from a political party to write, or for the Speaker of Parliament to recognize communication from the political party. They do it on the person who they've written first to them. Do you have that in the procedure?
There is nothing in writing.
There's nothing. So the response is
nothing. The law stands by itself.
There's nothing. Okay. So now when you're making allegations to say Triple C, Chabangu wrote first, because Chabangu has got power because he wrote first. Why would you say so?
What Chabangu wrote speaks to the clause. There is no clause of stopping. So you can write as many as you want. You can't stop the process because there is no provision of stopping.
And there's no process which speaks to the issue of saying someone has to write first. So you can write second. So right now, if someone was to, Tino was to write a letter and say, I'm recalling people, they would still recall. Because there's no procedure, right?
Yes, why I'm saying to you that if that is there, that means they spent the whole day in Parliament in 2021 trying to recreate the wheel. Why would they want to turn around and put procedures and codifications? Because they are not there.
Uncle Ged.
Absolutely not
Uncle
there.
Ged, can I rebut on that point? Why I'm saying that it's not true what Zet is saying. If we still remember in 2014, when Tendai Biti, when they formed PDP, they had some recalls which they did, and they write first to the Speaker of Parliament before the Tsangrai did that. When they said they fired Tsangrai, and then they did some recalls. Those recalls were not considered because the MDC of Tsangrai said we never fired these people from our party. So they were ignored totally. No one actioned those things. So this thing which Zet is saying, I don't think it's true. It's far away from what actually happens in the.
You know, you are saying they wrote letter and the Parliament did not act on it.
Yes, they didn't. They didn't.
You are talking about a court case.
It was verified. The Speaker actually verified, and it was said that no, they never. So it never go anywhere. That issue.
Wait, Tendai Biti court case in MTC.
Yes.
Why do you think they went to court? If Parliament did not act on it, then why did they go to court?
Which year?
He's talking about Tendai Biti's court case with 11, I think, versus MTC.
Or the one that gave rise
they went to court when
they went to court because the Speaker of the House is the
they went to court when him now was recalled. That's where they went to court. But him, when he writes to Parliament, it was not action. But when MDC retaliated and then they recalled him.
Tino, Zed, are you talking about the court case in 2015?
Yes.
The one
it went.
The one that gave the clarification on the role of the Speaker of Parliament.
100%.
Okay.
And
that's what I'm saying. This is what
the
Tino
court case
on.
it was when
he went to court.
When he beat Mangoma in the company, when they were recalled, that's where they went to court. But when they write to the Speaker of Parliament to recall some members, I think Chamisa was one of the people that they recalled. I'm not sure on the first time when they recalled, but they recalled some people from Parliament. That letter wasn't actioned. So the court case, it was about now when him was recalled and Mangoma.
Tino,
in return.
That is impossible. There's no provision.
But impossible.
This is why, Tino. This is what I'm saying to you.
Okay, guys.
That is the amendment
you know what, guys?
that they wanted to do.
I think let us make that the subject of another space. So that we just hear responses to the space because our time is now almost 10. So let us let us just allow people that have been, and I want to thank you guys for holding those that are still in the space or in the speaker forum, because there's quite a lot that have come out of what Ostalos said, and the issue of making the constitution. I liked when Norma spoke asked the question on the issue of the constitution, and it was a question that is actually revealed a lot in terms of the issue of the constitution and it being publicly available to most people, because we had always been told Gutandi's or members this, members this. And yet you are being told that this is a citizen movement and citizens have got a role, whatever it is, that is involved in the running of this. but citizens themselves, they don't know, the substance of that constitution. And when he said that, they're now working towards making sure that that is publicly, available. I think it is a point that is worth, noting, because it has brought some level of clarity on that issue, together with the issues of, the, structures, stuff like that. So I want to go to Tino. Tino, if I give you the mic, please do not do not revisit Zeti's thing, because we're just going to be inviting him, into the conversation. You say whatever it is that you want to say. I'll go to ABM, Denzel, Tapiwa, and Titus. Thank you very much. Tino, I kickstart us.
Thank you very much, Anko Ged. Yes, I wasn't going to go back on that issue. Yeah, but I just want to say, Anko Ged, what a day it was. Yeah, the day, I think everyone can agree with me that, especially for people who are Triple C, it didn't start well. I think most of the people, they were not quite happy with what was happening, but yeah, I just wanted to comment, especially Honorable Ostalosi, what he did to come to the space to make some clarifications. He made clarifications for many things. I think also people who are on the opposite side, you can see the way they are reacting, and the way some people they are actually commenting, and even on their space, they even opened the space to say he was lying and this. So it shows how unhappy they are with how he came and clarified many things that were said here on X as the facts, but in actual fact, it is the propaganda that people they were peddling and trying to make CC as if it's something that is already destroyed. Also, on that note as well, during the day, I think the clip that you were playing by Chabangu, it also shows very well how clandestine this guy is working with the ZANU-PF, especially to decimate the CCC movement, because with all the reasoning that he is giving on why he is recalling these MPs and the councillors, it's the reason doesn't suffice. I think for me, even the constitutional, the national constitution, the way he is doing that, it's something that is actually violating the national constitution. I will be for myself, if there are even people who are in this space who might even want to join or to say, let's go and sue this guy to the constitutional court, because especially the way he is doing it on the basis that he is recalling people because of which is, it's something that is against the constitution, where the constitution, we are talking about representation. We don't talk without ethical background, without, because it removes the national ethos of unity and all those kind of things that we have. So he is that what he is actually saying, that if you are if you are someone, if you are in Manicaland, people in Manicaland, if you move and live in Manicaland from Mashingo, or from this, or if you are belonging to, if you are a Karanga living in Manicaland, you are not supposed to represent people where you are now living. So that is actually against the national constitution. So it now vindicting what the Triple C was always saying, to say this guy, we don't know him. And also I want to say this that when he started, this guy, he was saying that he is representing the people. The people are not happy, but we are seeing that the people actually in Blawayo, they are the one that are not happy with what he is doing, not the other way around that he is doing. So here also with the taking from what
Honorable Ostalos said in the space that we have people that seems to be like the old guard from the MDC, and they didn't want to change the way things were done when we started this triple C. So they still want that culture from MDC where they say that it's us who started this opposition. So the opposition belongs to us. They don't want that. So they still want to have those powers to be like the gatekeepers or the guard to say they are the godfathers of the movement. They don't want the new the youngsters to come in and also participate in the political leadership of the party. So that is where we see now where the issues are only arising from. That's why this guy, they are angry with that. So that is the sentiments that I actually noticed and what I actually learned today that, oh, so this Chabangu guy, that's where he is coming from. He's seeing the entrance of the youngsters as a threat. And if we look at the people that he recalled, most of them, they are the new entrants into the political scene, except of Prince Dubeko, who is also someone who is a leader. Maybe he is someone who is embracing the new change. He is someone who embracing change. He's someone who embracing things that to do with the organizational changes. Is someone who accepts change and that flexibility, which is for us people who are so and the youngsters, which is also something that we embrace, and it's a welcome development. So we are seeing these people like Chabang who are so backward in taking on doesn't want change, but it's something that is there. We know even in organizations where we work, there are some people that don't embrace change because they fear the fear of unknown is there. So that's what I just take from there. But I think that Ostalos, you did very well, and to come to make those clarifications to people. And I think it's going to help us even on the conversation that we are going to do, Uncle Jed, here, that we are not going to make some of our submissions based on if and what analysis. We are now having facts, and we take those facts that what he said this. We are not going to have someone coming up with some wild imaginations of saying that this is what we think that is happening, and this, but we see it, some they're even refusing some of their previous assertions here. But yeah, it's always like that. Thank you, Anko Ged. Thank you, everyone. I lent my mic.
Right. Can I go on? Titus, Uncle Jed.
Right, guys. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Now, I move away from the thing. I tell us, no one. ABM the one under Arkuya next then Denzel Tapiwa Titus and one freelancer for the Aribo. So I just go, with that order. I just want to attend, something, very quickly.
That's fine. Let's do that. ABM shoot.
All right. Thank you, guys. And I'll just try and get my points across real quick. First of all, thank you for having the space. And number two, I'm not mad that now today was a revelation of the faces that speak for these factions that are fighting together, which is Gift Stalos na Chabango. Here we heard them and we saw them we saw Chabango on Facebook, and there were these little gaps that are missing. And the first thing that I caught and that is staying in my mind, is that Ostalos said that they're still working towards a structure to become a valid, credible party. And he said that himself when he was asked a question by Norma, and I've actually put up the video, posted on the in the comment section. And he was saying we're just still starting. So, which means, it's clear that they're not ready to even lead a country, if I hear that correctly, because imagine if those people were in charge of our country. And yet, at the same time, he skirted around the Chabangu issue. There was no blunt denial that Chabangu is not a CCC member. But yet, Chabangu was asked, and he said he was asked that, do you know Nelson Chamisa? And he talked about their history together. Okay. And yet Gift of Stalos gave nomenclature, that's what he was just given. And yet Chabangu had clarity when he was answering certain questions. And he also articulated the importance of why this is happening in Matabeleland. He said, he emphasized the importance of, if any political party wants to really run Zimbabwe, they have to come to Matabeleland. He said that himself. And that's why, and then he ended up being asked, is this happening everywhere else? And then he said, yeah, we know about everywhere else. And I myself, as a regular person, I've heard about Victoria Falls when the mayor was there, and there was such a holdup about someone being elected the mayor, and these were CCC members. So he was saying a lot of direct things. Whereas I switched over to Gift of Stalos, and he was just doing word karate, just somersaulting on questions that were asked of him. That was not direct to me, and other people have mentioned that this is just a return. This is just a rerun from 2018. In 2018, when they went to court, MDC and Chamisa, and they say go back to your last known document that shows your organizational structure, and that was there 2013. And that's what the court is going to do. It's just going to say, hey, show me the paperwork. Who's supposed to be in charge here? And if it dates back, the last document that you can prove is in 2013, court will just say, okay, so CCC essentially are just inefficient when it comes to the administrative side. I think it was proven, Chamisa, the administrative side of things, yes, he may have the people and the people support him, but he just does not handle the administrative side of his business. And that's the problem. That's really the problem, because otherwise Chamisa will be a force to be reckoned with. But then the thing is, like, it's 2018 happening all over again. We had Gift of Stalos giving rambling speeches to a simple question. He didn't outright deny Sekeza Chabangu. Chabangu was asked, do you know Nelson Chamisa? Okay. And he went on and gave a history of how he knows him and everything.
Are you repeating what you were reading before? Yeah, it looks like you are repeating again.
So I'm sure you can make your own submission after I'm finished.
No, but you are repeating.
I'm
You are repeating what you said again. So we are
well,
like we are
consider yourself
reading, but
blessed.
we are repeating the same thing. You read that before.
Sorry, do you have an issue with my presentation?
I have an issue because we are repeating.
AB, all right, let him go and land. AB, go and finish your presentation.
Right. So the administrative side of anything is very, very important. And MDC gave ZEC so much power, and that power was based a lot on just the honor system of saying, hey, you know what, if you've got a political party, you have a structure. And then there was the reinvention of the wheel. And I think as we go ahead in the future, we're going to see that there are going to be amendments made to that constitution to make sure that everyone has a constitution. Because this lack of constitution, lack of structures as a political party has cost the government so much money, because you have this infighting that's spilling over to taxpayers, and we know that Zimbabwe is broke, as we know. You make fun of it, but now we have this infighting that spills over onto the courts. And I think over the next, especially over the next 5 years, I'm sure we're going to see some laws that are going to be changed to tighten what a political party can be, because this has been a mess. This contributed to people saying that our elections were not so well run, because now we had in-house fighting about who's the nominee,
Right.
candidates, and everything. I'll just land, and that contributed to even tainting our elections. So I'm pretty sure those people that are actually in government and go there into government as MPs that do the work and set the laws, there's going to be some amendments coming, and I expect them to come, because it's just ridiculous that here we are, we're just talking about these people that can't sort themselves out. You know,
Thank
it's just sad.
right. Thank you, ABM, for that. Thank you for that submission. I think Denzel, you're coming next.
Thank you, host. Thank you, co-host. Thank you, everyone. My contribution was mainly focused on the guy I and Kenneth and Kenneth Chiwai one whatnot. I wanted to ask kuti pasubmission yakanga achitaura nezvekuti he loves Chamisa. I understand it's one thing to come and make contributions or maybe try to be relevant or maybe to align with whatever that you want to present. But I would like to believe by spaces in Aya, of course, we have got the right to come and do my submissions, but also let us be factual. We are in a position yako. It's like Padare coming achuya achizotudza what anoda Chamisa. All my tweets ake even this guy. All that we see is Anengachi attack Nelson Chamisa, even saying that this guy on the outside of the country talking bad about the country, whatnot, whatnot. But then he comes by space and then says, "Good, look, I love Chamisa." I think that was not factual, and I think it has to be challenged in some instances. Secondly, I would like to congratulate the deputy spokes. I think the presentation, or should I say, maybe the engagement with the citizens was very important and vital, because I think it, answered so many questions, and also that, togetherness, NEMA citizens is very, very important, especially in these trying times. And the other thing, I think the deputy spokes touched on a very emotional aspect, which probably we will all here ignore. I think it was a passionate plea to say, guys, look, even as leadership, this is what we are doing. We are throwing ourselves there. But what happens when we are there? Unozwa kuti kana tiri pano paTwitter tine mawarriors, tine vanhu vanodefenda, vanoti vakamira neconstitution vari kumira neconstitution. But there are certain things zviri kuitika paground, like paanga achitaura issue honorable Chidakwa. We muHarare matinoti tine triple C ndo ma-strongholds. We find one of our own capital city, very maybe important maybe street, crucial street, abductwa, no resistance, not to say probably vanhu vari kunzi vari kuita noise, but just to prevent. I think this is something that really speaks to us as citizens, to say, look, in as much as Twitter noise, Twitter all these things about Twitter, but on the ground, let us try to protect our own. ngatisaite kuti maybe everyone else anotanga kuona kuti kana zvichidai pamunyoro kuzoti wakaoma kokumamisha but kana tiri pano patwitter titaura kuti triple c haina zvairi kuita kumamisha havaite sei vamwe techiuya nezvirungu nekuti we are blessed tinonyatsotaura, we attack. But some of us, we are looking at our own leaders, like Vachenda through all these things. He went on to even say, this happened to me. I even said, guys, there is the person. What did we do? We watch. Tapeza with a watch, we come to Twitter. We attack them and say, look, these guys are not even doing enough. So I think, guys, we also ought to do an introspect and say, good, okay, what is it that we are contributing? Are we contributing just analysis? Because again, it then turns us into people who are just too analytical. We love the education aspect of all these things. We love maybe to be in the classroom. We are like vana vari kuuniversity vari kudebata maybe inonzi lecture, like tiri kudzidza, so we are just showing each other like I'm verbose, I'm well researched, I'm this and that. But what is it contributing? What is the end game? Okay, is what is on the ground complementing? Your leadership is saying, okay, guys, ndarowa ndibatsireiwo kuti ndidzivirirwe kana kuti ndisaende into further, kind of danger. We say, okay, tozokuona tozokuti get well soon, but Zimbabwe yadhakwa, this is not okay. I think that is another aspect that we really need to look at. In as much as we look at their faults, in as much as we look at maybe their misgivings, we ought to even look at ourselves and say, no. I think we are failing even these guys. We are not complimenting them. Yes, of course, financially we can do so much. Those who are actually doing financial, thumbs up, heads off. But also, at the ground, I think we also need to put more effort to say, guys, let's conscientize each other and say, guys, let's protect them. Let's also give them a voice. Vafile kuti the masses on the ground vanesu zvokuti vakada kuti hey vanoziva kuti okay tine vanhu vanotisapotawo kuti aiwa musavarove, not to say kuti vanongoziva kuti vachatariswa, next thing is ari kutorwa kutoendwa naye and then that's it, anozodzoka arohwa and ndo kupera kwazvo. I don't think that actually will help maybe to give them more confidence as they maybe navigate these difficult terrains. So yeah, I think I just want also to say thank you again to Triple C, Deputy Fox, and whoever organized that space, because yatibatsira, some of us, we were very critical. Of course, all these things. I also I had an opportunity to watch interview ya Sengezo. Unofana unzwa all that is vatiri kutaura. Kana uchitarisa that guy, you need to feel sorry for him. Honestly speaking, I tried to understand. I said, no, this is not making sense. This guy, whether we can come here, guys, and try to debate and say he's animal points, anichi, whatever it is, but I don't think he is okay. And I don't think maybe probably he is actually maybe himself to such an extent that he believes what he's actually doing, because it sometimes he's lacking full understanding of maybe whatever that he's doing. Probably it's just like, okay, do this. But now when he's actually faced with certain people, no wonder why probably he's not. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to try and organize spaces and say, actually, we are answer maybe like what the Triple C leadership is doing. He's just going to be operating there, peripheries, when doing all these funny things. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Denzel. I think we're going to
Titus, sorry, Annas Matters ndiye day ndagarisa.
Okay, I thought I added him. Okay, I'll do that. Let's go to Titus, then Tapiwa, while I'm so that
You said Tapiwa before, sorry. Which Titus?
Titus, there's someone called Titus, then Tapiwa.
Hello, guys.
Yes, brother Titus, you can go ahead.
Thank you, guys. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes. Thank you to allow me to just share and be in this platform. I just want to say something that I've noticed we as Zimbabwean. The problem is we always run away from reality. We always run away from reality. If you look at, or if you listen at Shabang is someone who is sent by someone. He is just doing on behalf of someone. And someone will tell you that it's because Triple C is confused. That's not the reality. The reality is there is someone who is behind Shabang. And if Shabang is saying he is representing people, which people? Because his action doesn't show the people. He doesn't have people in heart. So how can he say he was chosen by people while these people are suffering? So who sent him? I think Zimbabwe is that we have this weakness of not understanding that we are Zimbabweans and we must remain as Zimbabweans, united. There is no way Shabang can say that someone from Masvingo is coming here, then people, they are imposing people here and there. I'm from Binga. I was grown up in Bulawayo. So if I'm from Binga and I was grown up in Bulawayo and I want to contest to be a member of parliament or a local, I'm not supposed to be because I'm from Binga. While I was born in Bulawayo and grown up in Bulawayo. That's not the reality. I'm a Zimbabwean. I have a right to contest if I wish to contest. And people voted me. I'm in the parliament. Then someone says, no, people are not happy. That's not the reality. So he is pushing his agenda and he wants to accuse, to claim that he has been sent by people. To be honest, guys, Triple C so far, I can say, is the strongest opposition part in Zimbabwe. By the fact that everyone is looking at Triple C. If you look at how Triple C have done, look at how the double candidate have been imposed and how they've dismally failed, it can tell you that there is someone who is pushing Shabang because failed attempted plans now are coming and manifesting itself. They tried and failed, and they are keeping trying to destroy Triple C. If Triple C is weak, if Triple C doesn't have structure, why are they concentrated on Triple C? That's the question. So people don't understand that. They are ignoring it. Yet Zimbabwe citizens are suffering. Young people are unemployed. Then someone is coming and playing dirty games. So that shows the weakness of Zimbabweans. So someone is claiming or is proclaiming the election to just waste money for something that is not real. Does that person have people in heart? It simply shows that it's not. So as Zimbabweans, we must learn that we are one and we must unite. If election comes, let election come in and pass. Then we further focus on the development of the country. So what it is now, everyone is focusing on Triple C, which they are saying is failing. It has failed dismally. The administration is poor. Why are you concentrating on focusing on someone who is failing, who has poor administration? Why? That's the question. So let's not run away from reality. Let's face reality as it is. Because if you look at people, go in the ground, look at young people who are graduates suffering. Then someone comes in and say, no, Zimbabwe is okay. That's a lie. Let us be honest. That's a lie. People must face reality, and people of Zimbabwe must have people in heart. Everyone must play his role. If you look at how Chamisa is doing, or how Chamisa have tried to bring, it shows that everyone has a role to participate. Everyone has something to contribute. But now, people have old fashion. They don't want to change because they have their agendas. They know they are benefiting on looting. Now they want to prevent those bread that they are catching and forget that there are people who are suffering there. I just want to say to everyone on the platform that let's all face the reality. No matter you are a ZANU-PF, you are a Triple C, but the reality must be the reality. There is no reason someone can say, I'm recalling these people in parliament because they were imposed. That's not a reason. Or someone is from Maswingo. It's not a reason. And it's not reality. The reality is he is sent and he's pushing his agenda. Full stop.
Right. Yeah, Sazita Titus, are you related to the Speaker of Parliament? I see you are Mudende.
No. No, I'm not related. I just know him, but I'm not related.
No, that's fine, my brother. Thanks for that submission. You don't want politics. People should stop doing politics and just focus on what's on the ground, the reality. Thanks for that. I think the next one coming was Tapiwa. Then we go to Brother Moon.
Guys, thanks, Titus. So I actually have a few questions because people are talking about things have been clarified, but we have no reference point for clarification. We have just a reference point for what he said, but we can't clarify. Everything you were saying shortly we will make the constitution public. We have no idea when constitution was actually created or when it was made available. He just said shortly, and he didn't answer questions in a way. It was almost like a morale boost type of conversation, because everyone's speaking against Chabangu, but Chabangu actually submitted letters and those things have been confirmed. No one grilled him the way Anna said and everyone else grills people in any other space that we were expecting. I mean, they were quite light questions. He didn't even answer Noma's question properly when we were listening to him. And then we there's still question marks. Even right now, Anna ZT and stuff and Smarty and Smarters are having arguments because no clarity was actually brought in by this actual thing.
All right. So, Tapiwa, sorry, was there a question at the end?
I'm saying what has been clarified by his speech, by what he said. That's what I mean. Where do we get the clarity? What's clear now? As in the way people are saying, because there's still question marks. He said the constitution will be available shortly, so you don't have a constitution to compare to if Chabangu is correct or not, because everything is constitution based. The argument people have with Chabangu, should be based on the constitution, but you don't have a document to then compare to what he's saying if it's real or not, or if he has those rights or not. So what has been made clear? That's my question, because people are saying things have been clarified, but it was more like a moral boost, but nothing was really made clear.
All right. Okay. Point clear, Tapiwa. Maybe if you had a specific question that you wanted to, maybe somebody on the space who had maybe might be able to interpret it. But your submission ends with maybe some people who are coming next can help to articulate whatever you need to.
Well, if I may just add, like, yes, he's asking, what is it that Gift Ostalos gave us? What did we learn? What is more clear now that we heard Gift Ostalos speak?
Right. Okay. Thank you for that, ABM. Somebody might help you to answer. Brother Moon, please take the mic.
Thank you. Thank you, Titus. Hope I'm clear and audible. If you can confirm, Timboji Man.
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you so much.
Manyai mdaramundu mangamarova manyai.
Right. Firstly, obtained Anko Ged for hosting the space. Order, kumateres huko. We like order, and Anko Ged always comes up with order. You know, I remember vakamvonzi order nedzimwe dziblazi dzakazombopfekedzwa juzi rimwe so rakamboita mbiri paZimbabwe but dzakambodaidzira order kumateresi saka zviri kumbotiwo order kumateresi. Uncle Jed, thank you so much for the space. And Titus, amazing, awesome stuff. I mean, you always put us in line. We appreciate smarters makachibata mudaro. Dakumbomhorisawo timu yedu yekupresent worship ana smarters present worship then kuva rakasha ana ABM ana citizen ma1 chaiwo then takupindurai futi mubvunzo wabvunzwa mai manje natapiwa achiti chii chatadzidza pataurwa naDeputy Spokes. There is a lot that some of us tapfunda hedu isi tiri madoko tinochida kudzidza maklasi mune magrupu saka tiri kumagroup 6 edu kubva todzidza manje popaya. So pane zvinhu zvavatidzidzisa nhasi Spokes, a few things very important for us to understand pandakambotaura ndichiti materms of reference paya. Saka pamwe pacho Ostalos atotaura kuti nyaya yakatopera kare ende zviri simple nokuti hatingaitisane nharo nenyaya dzemadhongi apa tichidzimezha nemombe kana nemahosi, because one, it has come clear that Chabangu is not a member of CCC. It has been defined clearly, right?
Okay. Can I just stop you there? Sorry, since I asked the question.
Wait, Uncle Jed,
how
you
is
can
it
take
clear
over
which
because you told order materials you can read.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, Tapiwa, let him flow with his presentation.
Yeah. Munozouya. Right. Thanks Titus, because kuchikoro kuya ticha vanombotaura vanopa mumwe mwana nguva yake kutaura. Saka nyika yedu tikatanga kutodzidza order ipapa tudiki tototapiwa. It's very important in your life tapiwa unoenda kure. Right? Zvinotibatsira zvakanyanya stereki. Saka order kumateresi. Saka right. Saka naipapo tadzidziswa zvakawanda stereki isusu naDeputy Spokes kuti look, Chabangwa muri kutaura uyu musati matomboenda kure kwese uko haasi member yeCCC. Zvinhu zvakabvunzwa nevamwe panapa. Tapindura mubvunzo wabvunzwa naNoma. Very good question abvunzwa naNoma. I think it was needed. Pabude that clarity. Saka now zvekuti hakuna structure, hakuna chi. It is a strategic position not to expose vanhu vedu kuti vave vulnerable kumakarwe anonzi mupurwa. Anoswera achiita parade in impunity, broad daylight achitiparadzira musha nemagenerations to come. Ndinorwadziwa when the mental health of our masses is disrespected by vanhu vanouya panapa vachisvika vachita tingoti maaccent tokuti no because Chabangu hazwe CCC. Tazvinzwa naDeputy Spokes nhasi kuti uyu hazwe CCC uyu. Tazvinzwa izvozvo. Taudzwa futi position yema-elections. Tadzidziswa ipapo neposition the 14-day disengagement. Tadzidza stereki ipapo. We were learning a lot today. And I appreciate Ostalos with what he did. And Uncle Jed, thank you so much for this space and allowing vanhu vanenge varakasha na-ABM ava citizens zetu vauye, because pamwe pacho ndotomboteererawo citizens ndokuti dzinenge dzine order so ndozoona kuti hapana order. Ndomboteerera futi dzimwe dzinonzi magneto so dzinenge dzikutovewo neorders. Ndotozozviwa kuti maiwe apa kutaura kwadzinenge dzichiita dzikataura dzikambopoza so dzombopoza so unobva watoti aiwa ndakubata point, but at the end of the day ndo zviri kuita kuti nyika yedu itambudzike. These are the same things. Tendency kekuti munhu hauna respect for yourself. Have respect for yourself as a Zimbabwean. Ndo zvatongokumbira. Chamisa ari kufaya. Saka ezvinezvi we've been revived. it puts us down, takes us away, especially when people come up with these funny theories of theirs, like Tuna Magneto and Chichi. But there's no Tapua Magets, Takataura, change champion, strategic ambiguity. It's important. Could it put fire?
No, but what
Mutemori
exactly
clear.
did
Hey,
you
BM,
learn
calm down.
today?
Imbomira,
What exactly did you learn today?
majuzi akapfekwa napanhaya munapfekedzwa naibm imbomirai imi tikukuverengai handiti zvichapera kaizvi handita mugabe wanga uri mupaka vakazobuda muchabuda futi imimi topinda imomo handiti saka order kumateresi ikoko tinoda order tiri pavana vatiri kuenda chabvunza hako tokupindura zvokuya pana kuda kunyepera vanhu uchiti nelogic dzako dzedziye kwangonzwa kuti nakutanga kuti if hatisi kumboti if is spokes vataura chabangu haasi member yetriple c chii chimwe chauri kuda ngatimwe watanda rita kuti dhongi rine mvura ndarina simple as that. You understand? Respecta nyika yako kwaunobva, respecta izvozvo nevachauya because iwe muti waunodyara iwe hausi unoziva mvuri iyoyo unozidziwa nevamwe vanhu waenda iweyo but zvokuti ebm unouya panapa unotowapiwa ka 2 cents ameno kakawapiwa ikako uswerawo kuti nyau dzafanapa uchiti nyepera ndopropaganda zvisingashandi zvakudhara izvi muchaadzima maakaunti enyu arakasha mai manje kana zvachinja izvi. Uncle Jed, thank you so much.
So can I just then ask the guy who just spoke another question? Sorry, it's the same question because you're saying Chabangu said you're saying Ustala said Chabangu is not a member of Triple C. Where's the reference point for this membership that verifies this? That's why it's not clear for some of us. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't see.
I think Tapio, to be fair, it's going to be even not clear for you if you are.
Yeah, because you can strategy ambiguity. It means it's not clear, guys. It's not clear, guys.
It's supposed it's supposed not to be clear, especially if you are from.
I'll take it. If you allow me, Titus, I'll take it. I'll take it, Titus, if you allow me.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, I'll take it if you allow me. Tapiwaka is tofarira kusunungura vamwe pfungwa. Nokuti Winky Deep akati njema bye aitoziva kuti makatobatwa njema zvokudaro. Iwe chaunoda kuziva nezvekuti member yetriple C ndiani kana usiri member yetriple C ndiwani. That's mubvunzo wangu wokutanga. We cannot come here and explain to you how we define our membership.
Because the funniest thing is this. That's the actual thing. That's
right.
Not
clear.
Reference point. What document did he refer to? The constitution is not out yet.
How does someone become a member of Triple C according
exactly? How do we know? So it's not clear.
Your own knowledge, how does someone
the spokesperson tells us who is not and who is. That's what I'm seeing here.
No,
that's what we're basing.
The whole tell you who is and who is not.
No, but that's the basis of saying not. Because that's what they're saying. They're saying the spokesperson said he is not. They're not referring to anything else. They're saying the spokesperson said he's not a member.
I think Tapiwaka dzidza order shamwari. Takupa mukana kutaura kandi kupindura nditi. Spokesperson zvinoreva mumiririri handiri kunzwa here ndiye anopa mashoko ekubato zvine mvumo zvine murawo with authority handiri kunzwa here. Saka iwe kana unzwa point of reference that is the very best point of reference that you'll ever get. Iwe yako kuti point of reference ikaika what are you going to validate the point of reference with? So ndikakupa document unovalidate nechii ipapo. Saka usade kuti confuse noti propaganda zvisina basa tinoda order manapa. Thanks, Titus.
Yeah, but you can't take that to court on hearsay, my guy. It's an institution, a constitution.
Yeah, I think the definition is in the title, right? Spokesperson of the party. And I think Tapua, you deliberately ignoring the point that we do not have that position in Triple C of the SJ. I don't know if you're deliberately ignoring that, but anyway, let's move on. I think who was coming next? Let's see who hasn't spoken. So Tina, Steve K, Beauty, you've just joined us, and Mr. K. So I think I'll give Mr. K. Okay, I'll give Beauty first, the lead voice, then Mr. K, and Steve K. Let's go in that order, please.
Sorry, Titus. Some of us have to rebut the Warakashi label that we have to turn around and go around voting now, if it's possible, because we don't want a thing.
You wanted to rebut who did you want to rebut?
Mono turned around and classified me as Barakash for the first time in 47 years. So,
all right.
Thank you.
I'll give you a minute.
Citizens, yeah, you know Tumurakashi though.
Of who?
I was
With me, I only Rakasha ZANU-PF, unless you guys are classifying yourself as ZANU-PF. Your behavior these days is starting to feel like it. With me,
no.
I'm Rakashi for ZANU-PF. I'm replying to, I have not replied to Mono first. So, Mono, if you are going to classify me as Murakash, amazing. It's the first time.
We don't even like him.
Don't worry. But here is the problem. With me, I thought I was helping you guys, you know. I thought I was playing nice, you know. You're throwing back the punches, you know. But you guys still want to play politics. You want us to move from freeing the country, and then you want us to start turning around and opening your party bonnet. For real. I don't think it will save us anything. Guys, the party is saying something here, and you guys are the ones that are not listening. I don't know what's going on. Maybe if you spend more time, guys, listening to what your party says and what your party tries to point out, and maybe that will be better. You know, some of us are, you know, been in politics since a young age. Party says jump, you jump, and then keep on jumping. But what you guys are doing, you're starting to sound like Badari. And you know the taste that Badari leaves, you know. Concentrate on here, on what the party says and pipe out. Yeah. Nelson Chamisa said, you've got a register for your members. That's what your leader said. You've got a constitution. So if you are not in the register and you do not know how you get to the register, just turn around and say, I am not in the register. I am a supporter. I am not a member. There are members on the ground with registers. You know? In Zimbabwean constitution, you've got member, supporter, and then you've got affiliates. Just pick one of those two at the end, you know? Then what you are saying now becomes normal because you are saying it as a supporter. Then you know that you are not saying it with full knowledge. And then you affiliate, you know, like fast. But yeah, Rakash, my friend. For
Right.
me, for CCC, I don't need to Rakasha you. Baba Shona and but are doing a much better job for that one. I'm trying to save you from the more Rakashing. But oh well, you know, it's Twitter. Everyone just turns around and labels. So,
All right.
there you go, my friend.
Thank you, Zeti. That was very clear.
I think Zeti, if anything, Zeta Ramba on Zimrakash. I think that's what I can get from this. Anyway, Zeta, I think anything but Murakashi, and Zeti is saying is not that. So anyway, I think Beauty, I was giving you next.
Thank you, Titus. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, my labels are nakunaka. No one likes to be labeled at the end of the day. And especially Kanachis who feel out it is an unfair label. But anyway, we'll move on. The constitutional crisis in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has had a constitutional crisis since 1980. So I'm not too sure the crisis chinja papi exactly because this has been ongoing for many decades now. Tatwamu 40 something decade of this crisis. But anyway, inangu ndadangokwira hangu pamaiki kuti ndimbotaurawo semunhu anga agarisa asina kumbotaurawo but handina mashoko acho ekutaura, so I'll let you carry on, Titus.
Thanks, Beauty. Good to hear your voice after a while.
And if I may say too,
but
good to hear your voice, Beauty.
Monu, you wanted to do a quick rebuttal to that.
Yes. Just a quick one. I just wanted to respond to Citizen Zeti. Citizen Zeti, my apologies, man. If it came out in a way that you are fully labeled as a Murakashi, my brother. What I meant to let out there, my brother, is that when I listen to you articulate yourself and you carry through, I would like to quote the deputy spokesman when he says, "We use superior logic." You know, I listen to some of the things that you say, and they lack superior logic. And in many cases, they seem like a direct attack. Not they seem like, they actually come out as an attack only towards Nelson Chamisa and the Triple C, you know. So it's exactly the same modus operandi of the Warakashi, and the narrative goes as such. There is criticism that is constructive, you know. Then there's criticism that builds a certain narrative, that builds a certain precedence, that builds certain facts that are non-facts, you know. So that's why I was explaining to say, look, you might come with a certain voice that is so convincing, you know, and some of us don't mirrors and don't my citizens at any point, you know. Then I don't like just to my yes man, getting book and it. So I only in a good angle. But my brother, you do lack superior logic, you know, with all due respect, and it ends up misleading, you know, in a way. You could see some of us think because when it comes to the spaces, the main idea is to learn, you know. We go there to learn because that's the social landscape iripo kwatanodzidzao. But kauya kokondosvika ndoti kwandabva kwana salani uku kwakuta kudai, so ndasvika futi kunokota kuna padare futi padare hamu, but narrative yake irungobuda futi, you know. So that's why I've got an issue, my brother. So my apologies kana kuti Murakasha, I know chokwadi chinorwadza, but I'm not saying with Murakasha, and it just my apology. I take it back.
Thank you, my brother Monu, a gentleman there. Let's promptly move on. I think Anunzan, Mr. K, were you listening to Ostalos? What do you have to say? Thanks, host. Yeah, Namunzwa Ostalos. I think Ostalos, it was well articulated, I think. Regardless, it's an enomberi, munhu arutaura mapoints, because at the end of the day, yataura yekuti superior logic, yeah, it comes into account in terms yekuti mumwe munhu anzwa zvaasingade kunzwa, and then they reduced Ostalos' submission to some kind of a motivational speech. Do you know what I mean? When he's articulated, he answered all the questions with precise and well articulated. Vada kunzwa vanzwa, asingade kunzwa, obviously you're going to criticize. So my submission would be tudzokera ku what can I say? Ngatidzokere kuna yanga taurwa namunhu yekuti superior logic. Sometimes certain things start from logic. It does not take rocket science. You don't need a constitution to stipulate. First, do not go and poop in a public place. No go meet up a road, you cannot just whip it out, no go out a wet. Apana mtemo wakanyorwa kudzi specifically. You know, basically, you don't do that. But Zimbabweans, obviously, now you come to the argument, oh, where is it written? Kuti handifana ku road in a public place. Oh, hapana mtemo, so I can go to court and argue that. That's the other side there. Chane Stockholm syndrome. We see people just getting away with stuff. Austalos, if I'm going to sort of what I took from what he said in terms of strategic ambiguity, people always come here and say, oh yeah, opposition keeps doing what they've been doing all the time. You keep repeating the same mistakes. You keep doing the same thing numerous times. It makes you a fool, which is what everyone knows. Now they've come with strategic ambiguity. Has it been done before? No, they came with a new strategy. And now obviously everyone wants to know the meats and bits, the bones of the strategy. Utekamira say, does it become ambiguous? Does it become, we know the enemy we're dealing with, you know the enemy you're dealing with, which is why sometimes knowing less is knowing more.
Those who know less now sound as if they know more. All of a sudden, they're trying to poke holes, like they're trying to prod, like toda kuziva kuti chichi kuitika, so that they structures anga aripo nguva yeMDCA. What happened? We all know the story. Makuda kudefine what same structures. Okay, regardless. Vamwe vari kuita argument, is he a member? Spokesperson what is not a member. Okay, all of a sudden, someone, what makes you a member? What not? Okay, whatever. Okay, of course you're a member. What makes you a SG then? If you become a member, were you there when those structures were being defined? Were you there? No. You just managed to maneuver yourself to some kind of a position and take advantage of that ambiguity to put some kind of whatever. Yes, there's organ by holes. Whether there were structures, we'd be facing this anyway, but on other directions. Even at a worse, I think it's got more than that many MPs and councillors who had been recalled by now. But my point of submission is Zimbabweans, in terms of Stockholm Syndrome, constitutionality, sometimes just because there is no written law or there's some kind of a gap within the constitution where I can just go to court to go to, oh yeah, I felt ndakangoona pothole ndikafunga kuti blade toilet. I'll go argue that in court. I mean, seriously, where has our sense of thinking, logic, Jai, logic, just pure logic? We all know this would never happen anywhere in the world where someone just wakes up, regardless of whether there is a loophole in however CCC's approach has been in terms of their structures or structureless or fluidity in terms of how they define themselves as an organization. Hakuna mtemo as well wekuti ndikada kuita a big multinational company inofanira kuita CEO. I can call myself anything without saying I'm the CEO. I can call myself anything. This is not director, deputy director, chairman, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Hakuna zvakadaro. I can design my organization the way I want to, where like it's a parallel. Okay, there is one port of report. Azvina kana kuti organizational structure yako inofanira kuita, you report to this one and then you report to that one. I can define it any way I want and still be successful. Where does Chabangu, where is it in the constitution of Zimbabwe where it says every political party has to have a secretary general? Nowhere. I can wake up and be secretary general of something or anywhere just because there's a precedence of secretary generals having a defined constitution where they say, oh yeah, I have this power as a secretary general. They deliberately avoided that. That's where I don't get superiority logic. Where does common sense come in before we start going to we have to argue it in court? You're gonna argue in court with common sense and oh yeah, I can just do whatever I want because there is no defined law in the constitution. I am not supposed to do this. No, the indecent behavior. Indecent behavior can be anything. But okay, I'm landing now. All I'm saying, Mazimba, let's not accept this upside down kind of thinking. Let's just be normal. Let's think normal.
Right.
My arguments, they're frustrating, but anyway, that's my submission. I'm signing off.
Thank you, Mr. K. Demangangochinja team yamunosapota chete, otherwise chimwe zvese ball. No, thanks for that. Anko Ged, it's 3 minutes to 11. There's about 10 requests. I don't know, Muru, how long are you still going? Do I need to bring people in or are you close?
Let us close.
Right.
Tell me a period to Mira. On the basis of me feeling tipsy, I'll go for another 30 minutes. Saga.
I'm
Hey,
to
do,
make
do,
sure.
hey. Thank you, thank you,
All
thank
right.
you,
So
thank you.
Inzwa,
Hey,
I just want to
just
Right,
hear
Saga
didn't.
what
Ed,
some.
okay, just Ed, the people, that have requested, Wataora and the people that have requested, put them through,
Yeah,
and
guys,
then,
guys.
yeah.
So okay,
Commodities, I was
right.
finishing up in my document, Saga is done and dusted. Saga,
Good
but
stuff.
yeah,
Good stuff.
yeah, we can, yeah.
Nice one, nice one. So what we'll do, guys, I don't want to remove people, but if you spoken once, twice, can
You
you?
can drop me.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you. Can you just drop with this? Then we Tongo it add up a few guys, then they can just say my points. Pane or that have been requesting for a bit. All right. So if you can just drop a few, then I'll add a few as well. In the meantime, I think it was ABM. You've spoken 3 times. You've got your hand up. I thought you were dropping. You wanted to say something for 30 seconds? 30.
No, I never said I was dropping. I know Kuti
Okay.
Marcus Kapangwaye Kuti. It's time for us. It's our time now. I just wanted to part ways and just say myself, man, like I love a valid opposition because it's not worth it when we don't have a strong opposition, it's something that you as a regular citizen can say, oh, apa ne apa, and
Right. No, we hear you. We hear you.
no, and
Help us to have a strong opposition.
no, and
So,
of course, because Makundi Zinga can does there, but
no.
and I'm good.
People are dropping, so we can add more. So
Right,
obviously,
right, right.
you. Thanks about that,
No,
AB.
no, but I haven't finished.
No, we need to move, bro. We need to
Well,
move.
but can I just finish what I was saying?
Or I'll give you 10 seconds. Go on.
All right, like I'm just saying, like a valid opposition is something that gives validity to our democracy, and if we're seeing this infighting all the time, like then it kind of it brings us down because Zimbabwe is Zimbabwe,
Thank you.
like thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you. All right. So, okay, I've tried to thank you guys for those who've dropped, and thank you. I think I've so let's go in this lineup. So I think Steve K, you were here, so you go first. Then we go to Brother Kuda. We go to Musena. No, Comfort. There's a lady. All right. So Steve K, take the mic. Then we go to Comfort. Steve K, we go to Comfort. We go to
Yeah,
Kuda.
that's cool. Thank you so much, guy. Thank you so much, Uncle Jed, for giving us 30 minutes. If you lived in London, I would have buy you a beer on Saturday, but you live in Manchester, so bad for you.
Hey, don't try to hide with the finger. The thing that is called a transfer. You need a transfer.
No, if you're in London on Saturday, I can buy you a beer. I'm in London, then watching Arsenal, by the way. So there's that. So guys, this Chabangu thing is quite frustrating, to be honest. How can kind of like a Secretary General of opposition party that is complaining and saying that all the elections were not are legal? They are all illegal, really. And then the guy literally went on to go like His Excellency. I've never heard anyone in Triple C calling Mnangagwa His Excellent. This was the first one, and then here we are in the middle of the night talking about this guy. I don't know if this guy is not imposter. I don't know what else is imposter talk. To be honest, this guy, I don't think that he holds any water. And but what I've learned today from Astelos, sorry if I said his name wrong, but yeah, what I've learned is little something I've also kind of like learned from Chamisam. So these guys are saying that this organization or party, whatever you want to call it, is still young. So there are so many things that needs doing and all that kind of stuff, and even the words they are using, like, or we don't have kind of like a seniority because this party is still young, and even today this guy went on to kind of like talk about the things that to come and all that kind of stuff. So yes, for me as someone who likes to kind of like think, right, it kind of like gets me a little bit worried. I'm like, okay, so if you have won with all the things that you are talking about now that are coming, what were you going to do? You see, it is worrying, but I understand that these guys are really, really kind of like young, and also the idea that he talked about, like they were working really down there with kind of like lawyers and all that kind of stuff about this Chabango thing. And one of the things actually he actually said that was really important. I don't know if someone else has talked about it here, was around the by-election themselves. He said that these by-elections should not even happen if the person who recalled people was not supposed to recall. So there is this thing that needs going. If the proof, I'm sure that they should be able to prove that this guy has no power to be able to do the things he's done. So this guy is literally saying that we are not looking to the by-election at all because we don't believe that this by-election holds any water, that the kind of like the Speaker of the Parliament really just was trigger happy as soon as he saw a letter from someone who claims to be the opposition. He triggered it. So this guy, to be honest, I've kind of like learned a lot, and I've kind of like understood that these guys are literally working in the background, and here on X, thank God for these kind of like spaces, but on X here really we are playing puppet show. This is the new word from Triple C leadership now. So everything is puppet show really, but these guys are really working hard, and one of the actually the most devastating also, this is my last one so that people can go to sleep, is when he talked about the guy who got adopted and get beaten, saying nobody defends him. And here we are, and I'm talking about buying my uncle here a beer in London, and these guys are in Zimbabwe. They are getting beat every day, and if they said anything, they'll get there and get abused. And we are here cheering. And then there are some other guys here who actually come and say that these guys don't know what they're doing. They should push forward and think of what's happening. Someone in Murewa, someone who's deep in Rusike there. So that's my village area there in Rusike and many other places that we can't actually see, and we don't have phones and all these kind of things. What is happening to those people? I truly believe that we need to start think about these things, and also our mentality, guys, needs to change. I literally sometimes hope that I come into this place and then I will hear that, oh, we've got this Zoom thing that we are going to do so that we can actually start discussing kind of like what are we going to do? What are the action that we need to take for us to be able to change Zimbabwe? What are the action that are we going to do so that we can stop the Chinese from nicking all our kind of like raw material? Because they are doing it, but they are nicking while we are here smiling. They're the guys talking
Right.
about money. So it's amazing when a ZANU-PF guy come here and talk about how we are wasting money. But yeah, so I digress with that.
Right.
Thank you so much. I will let other people speak.
Thanks, Safe Guy. Thank you for that. Brother Safe Guy, there's nothing stopping you from initiating a Zoom call behind the scenes. There's nothing stopping you from anything
My
like that.
brother, many are called, but few are chosen. Right.
Absolutely. I get you.
So some of us.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's fine, bro. That's fine. I appreciate you. Comfort, please. Comfort.
Okay. Hello. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Uncle Gerard. Thank you, commentators, for extending this. I know it was just for me. Just kidding. But yeah, I haven't been on spaces for a while, but I think I'm going to go off topic a bit. But I'm going to say something that I have been withholding for a while. So for those who call me a project, yes, maybe I am a project. I did one of my first jobs out of college was working for Hillary Clinton, and here's one of the things I learned from her. And I think I want Barakashi to hear this and hear this well. Don't underestimate Nelson Chamisa, okay? Or don't underestimate the people that you may feel are inferior to you. Here's what one of the books that changed my life that I got from my former boss. It's by Robert Greene. You should all read it. It's called The 48 Laws of Power. The first law: never outshine the master. The second law: use enemies, don't overtrust friends. And I'm bringing some of this because I've been watching the trends, I've been watching the patterns on spaces where some people want to behave and act like they are with the yellow, they are with triple C, but they really are not. I can tell, I can read in between. And so use enemies, don't over trust friends. The third law is mask your intentions. Fourth, protect your reputation. Fifth, which President Nelson Chamisa uses a lot, is always say less than necessary.
Just say
That's
this is CIS,
that's why
CIS,
I am that, and I'm gonna
yeah.
be giving you
But
some
that's
notes. So
code of practice.
Uncle
But
Padare, sit
I like
down,
that.
sit
I like
down
that.
and
I like
Padare
that.
nyarara mnapedza kutaura
sit down
mani.
and
Why
take
are you bullying me?
okay? Always Uncle Padare,
No,
behave yourself.
tinowirirana manje
You know I love you.
nanzodzi yangu
Behave yourself.
usapindire usandituke
I,
tinowirirana zvakaipa
all right,
Aiwa,
Tinene
Uncle
kuwirirana
Padare.
kwenyu, but tinoda kunzwa submission yake.
Of course, Vadari. Move. Please let comfort flow. Let it flow. I know I'm not gonna go run, but let it just flow. Then your chance will come. Please go on, comfort.
Uncle Padare, I'm gonna be in London in February for the launch of my fourth book. I'm going to find you. Don't borrow him. But anyway, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The number 5 is always say less than necessary, which I think President Chamisa has really. I'm giving you his secrets here because I watched the guy. I'm like, I think has he read this book? Okay, be conspicuous chirungu chinonetsa, and stand out. Win through actions, not argument. So you'll see that there's no argument. And let others work let others work, then you take the credit. Make yourself indispensable, make people come to you, use generosity and honesty. Don't be infected by misery and misfortune. There's a lot of them, but the one that I really want to focus on is never outshine the master, number 1, and then mask your intentions. So ndo machikunzwa nyaya yekunzi ambiguity. Of course, the man has to mask his intentions. Why do you want him to keep telling you his intentions? The laws of power say he shall mask his intentions. And then he needs to know his opponents. How does he know his opponents? He has to be quiet. He cannot say a lot. That's why he does not say a lot. A lot of you are frustrated because you want him to say a lot. Why does he need to say a lot? And so I think I'm learning a lot from this, and that's what I wanted to just share. Kuti, we come here and we talk about triple C in our structures, we want to know exactly what is their game plan. And we want to know what that is. But that in itself takes away the power. So I think we keep undermining the men. And in ending, I'll say, if some of you really knew who knows what Jamisa is, you would not be coming into the spaces. Mchingo Taura, Mchingo woman. What does the president Mnangagwa say? Mchingo Vocha. Because he's strategic. You must understand that. He's very strategic. Mm-hmm. Uncle Padare, you not say but he's strategic.
No,
Yeah,
you're
you can laugh
trying.
all you want.
You're
Yeah,
really trying.
you can laugh
You
all you want, but I think a strong leader is known by the way in which he says less, and then all of us we make noise, and then try to, just undermine him. And the man still, I don't know how he does it because we have stripped him off. We have done a lot as Zimbabweans, Barakasa Kunyanya, but then he keeps quiet because he understands that you never, never, ever show your intentions. Always he masks his intentions. And so that's what I wanted to say. Saka ndikanzwa futhi nyaya yekunzi accountability pana, ndikanzwa nyaya yekunzi hanzi ambiguity and stuff. I will refer you to the 48 laws of power by Green. And those are used by some of the people I admire. So please calm down and stop making noise for us because we know exactly what's going on. And that's all I wanted to say. And I'm sorry if I'm off topic, but I think Mkoma ABM vadzika ndonzwa chinyotsa ngenzo kuti chamisa havana ma structure blah blah blah. Ukafukura hapwa dzako and you say everything. Where is your power then? Are you guys all right? Who keep talking about ambiguity? Are you all right? If I come here and I tell you about my strategic plan and who's funding me and my sources, I become powerless. I have to maintain some of those things private. So why are we expecting Nelson Chamisa kuti afukure hapwa dzake kuti mose muzive what he's working on? I don't get that. And then the audacity and the entitlement, just after you guys watched Gold Mafia, you still have the strength and the audacity to be questioning. Che zvekunetsana nezvegold mafia muchibvunza kuti mari dziri kuiswa kupi, muda kunetsana naNelson Chamisa who's trying to build something from scratch. So I just say, Zimbabweans, let's focus, guys. And I don't know, sometimes I've gone quiet because I'm just like, it's too much, it's too exhausting. I'm not sure where I am. Let me let others talk because I know I've been given a little bit time. So thank you.
Ndanzwa word nyore kuti muchibvocha. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Comfort, for that. Appreciate. Mof Kuda, how are you?
My comrade, deep. How's everyone doing? All protocols observed. Uncle Jed, thank you for giving us 30 more minutes. Taona panara akuchicha auya neghost achinzi maiko kwaostaloso zvandisekesa
ane drama
mofu. Anyway, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gonna go down because I can't hear. Could I please bring me back?
Oh, Hashem.
Iwe ndontodzika kuda dzike siri kumunzwa.
All right, so I was going to just contribute quickly and say that in all critical thinking, two things can be true at the same time. And I think arguments get lost quickly because of the high emotions on either side. So, for example, Hamas raiding a music concert and shooting up teenagers, and then Israel retaliates. It's okay to say Hamas was bad for doing what they did, but Israel should not kill babies, right? It's the two things can be synonymously correct. So when I listened to the deputy spokes today, a couple of things struck me. First of all, he's an extremely articulate young man, and I wish him well. I wish to see him in high up in the Zimbabwean hierarchy one day. I mean, maybe even president. He's a very smart young man. There's a lot of people in the Triple C who are actually very, very smart young people and who have genuine love for country. And I do also understand sometimes the vitriol and the anger that is creeping up amongst the core support base, which is largely virtual. When someone gets 2 million votes and a space can max out 1,000 listeners, it shows that there's a disconnect between the ground and what's online and how we interact with each other online. So I want us to be very, very careful. Number one, I want you to understand the silence of some senior people in the structures who would not dare say the words Chabangu Atimziwe. Even the spokes was very clever in how he denied Chabangu because he's not a stranger. And anyone who says he's a stranger is being dishonest to the citizenry, right? Anyone who says there's no constitution is also being dishonest. I mean, there has been something in the underbelly for quite a while. So it's important that we always demarcate where our emotions lie. So when we call each other Varakashi or etc., sometimes we call Varakashi because you're putting up certain points that do not necessarily work in a tweet. Where you first of all first thing you must condemn ZANU-PF, then condemn ED, then condemn it, then you say, but where's the bulletproof car? It doesn't work like that in human communication, right? You sometimes have to put the point across, but still hold a position. And sometimes the best way to deal with a young party like CCC is to actually panel beat the leadership into becoming the leaders that we want in the future. If we do the hero worshipping, demagoguery, accepting platitudes as constitutions and as explanations, then as a citizenry we're dumber than we think. It goes back to us marching on 27th November 2017, where we're told, don't worry guys, it's going to be fine. You know, our country is going to be open for business and so forth. And you listen to that too high emotion and you don't actually question the difficult things. I personally, as a critical thinking human being, I like to think is that I don't want a one center of power in anything, not in organizations, not in government, not in opposition parties. Number two, I want to be able to hold anyone accountable, right? So we want to be able to hold ZTech accountable, Econet accountable, anyone who's public, who accesses public recourse to public funds, etc. So these are some of the things. So sometimes when we're listening to each other's arguments, let's try and find what someone is actually trying to say. I understand why someone like Citizen said he goes deep into reading literature and becomes quite verbose and litigious in his languaging, because he's actually right. The way the Constitution was written, as told to us by one of the writers of the Constitution, including the speaker who was in the room in Bulawayo on Fifth Floor when they wrote that particular clause, is that the speaker himself is a useless person when it comes to the recall issue. And the recall issue in Zimbabwe has been the tool weaponized and nuclearized by the opposition. It doesn't matter what year you look at it. Ever since it came as a law, it's been weaponized. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a BT, it's a Mapume, it's a Mpariwa, it's a Ngube, it's a Kupe. It doesn't matter who. This particular law has been used too many times, and only used, I think maybe used once by ZANU-PF, but too many times used by the opposition as a weapon. And I think it's a bad law, especially for us citizens who are voting for people in constituencies, hoping that they carry their mandate for the 5 years so we can hold them accountable. Mayor Mapfume till today is judged harshly on his treatment of Harare, and yet he didn't have even 5 months to be a mayor, because he was constantly under legislation, being arrested, being suspended, etc., etc. And these are the kind of things that are making Zimbabwean politics totally fucked up. I would like to see a situation where we can have these kind of conversations without the name calling and without the hero worshipping. I don't believe Nelson Chamisa is infallible. I don't believe he's a demigod. I believe he's a great guy. I believe he's got great intentions. However, I also want the goddamn right to be able to look at a movement that I've put money and energy into and look at it and say, comrades, fuck, we defended this no constitution thing, but even I cannot say I'm a member. No one can say they're a member, right? And how do we join? Comrades, we had an idea for an app 2 years ago so that we could get people subscriptions and raise money for the coffers. We can't keep on doing GoFundMe to people's private accounts. These are all real issues that don't make me mragashi. I just want order. And in that order, I believe that we can get better results from a strong opposition. An opposition that has a code of conduct. So we know when someone is misbehaving, they're not part of us. Whereas I'm telling you now, I do not fight online with ZANU-PF people. There's just no need, right? Generally speaking, CCCs are fighting other people who are pro-opposition. It's people talking about Hopewell. It's people talking about Ningi. It's Solo talking about this one. It's Dr. JT about this one. It's confusion, and everybody has got large followings, and everyone's got their fans. So we polarized amongst ourselves. If Nelson Chamisa was right now to say, let me look for all the people who say they're pro-opposition and put them in a room. And then you have a Solo there and a Dr. JT there, then you have the Lynn Stasia there, and then you have a Madube there, and all these people, and you put them together. Nobody gets along. Everyone thinks everyone else is a fucking plant, everyone's an agent, everyone's a cunt, everyone's a this. That's just in my circle of understanding. And then just when you look inside the team just a little bit, then you see, shit, there's a Nube faction, there's a BT faction, and then you go back in history, then you realize, BT Hans Muzanu, Chamisa Kambo Zanu, Nube Kambo Zanu, Tokozani Kupe, I mean, she posed with Zanu and went to fucking farms and everything. Now, this is confusion. So two things can be right at the same time. Allow people to be critical of an opposition, because we don't talk about the other oppositions because they don't fucking matter. No one cares about Chapman. No one cares about that Dage. What's her name? Valerie something. Yeah, well, no one cares about those. So they don't matter. It's actually important that someone stays on the top of mind. Is he the best? Is he the Drake of Zimbabwean politics? He probably is. But the last album, yeah, Drake was terrible. Let's say it. How do we do better? How do we get a better product for the community that supports you and puts money forward and puts things? If people ask you where the bulletproof car is, it should be a simple question. Dude, we didn't buy it, or shit, it's parked in my backyard. Simple questions, right? These should not be complicated questions. How do we join? Well, the spokesman says we can join officially on a website soon, and that's a good answer. You know, when will the constitution be available for the public? I think he said it's going to be available soon, so let's hold them up to account. But the spokesperson for Zaima, my sister, once said the website was coming 2 years ago. It never came. So we have to also put them up on the lies we've been told over the last 5-6 years. Okay, we're told the V11s are there, they're in a box, and they're going to be put out for everyone to see. We didn't see them. We were told in 2018 we're going to be celebrating tomorrow. Well, we didn't celebrate. We went to another election and so forth. So sometimes putting our leaders to account is not a bad thing. And at the same time, you don't have to then say ZANU-PF is good, because it's not. What you do is you deal with one thing at a time. And I think that's a good woke citizenry that actually criticizes, also uplifts, but also puts money where their mouth is when they need to, and uplifts and volunteers when they have to. This is going to build us into a better country. We do not want demigods in charge of our country. We want people who can always come back to us, be strong leaders, but also understand sometimes our frustrations are not misplaced. And I'm telling you guys, Sabangu is not some stranger who wrote a letter. That is mischief. And that is a bad, bad mischief that's being perpetuated out there. He's not a stranger. Anyone who's been in the structures for a long time will tell you that that guy is well known. He sat on committees with President Chamisa. He was his campaign manager once upon a time. These are not strangers, huh? These are disgruntled cadres who need to be dealt with a conflict resolution that needs the wisdom of Solomon, because they're pissed off on tribal lines, on nepotism lines, on all sorts of stupidity. And he could be absolutely wrong. And what he's done is absolutely wrong. Of course, he's handing the junta a big victory. But at the same time, let us not sit around and pretend like some of us didn't see this happening. We saw it happening. We saw it happening in St. Mary's. We saw real things happening where candidates who won popular votes were selected with a quasi approach that nobody understood. And that started causing real problems. And then the answer is Mufaz, Muzanu. These are lazy arguments that have been perpetuated by opposition for years. ZANU is not smart. If ZANU is as smart as they are given credit to be able to manipulate opposition and buy this one and buy that one, then they should run the country, because they're very intelligent. As far as I'm concerned, they can't even get an email address that does not say Gmail or Yahoo or Lycos. These are not smart niggas. So at the end of the day, I don't believe that every time they're given all this credit for stupidity, it's their fault. I think they capitalize on it, and that's what I think. Someone can change my mind, but I believe they do capitalize sometimes on some own goals, which are easy to look at and then reflect. I was one of the people who said, fuck a constitution. Constitution is a terror. I said it for 2022. We fought with a lot of people say, no, there's no need for structures. I listened to that whole fluid water thing and I thought, this is brilliant. This is great. And then we started to try and find agents during the election. And when as matters variable, they'll tell you the truth. It becomes very difficult now when you're now trying to look at a situation. They go, okay, cool. There's fluidity, but there's also old structures that are in place. There's also people who believe they're entitled. There's also people who you don't trust. And now you're trying to put agents in Gudu, but you don't know who to put, and then you can't cover 12 of them. And these are real things that happen on the ground. Real things I'm telling you on personal experience, that if a register was pulled up and someone said, yeah, the list of the people we should contact, it would have been easier. But it wasn't that easy. And I think that's the lesson that's been learned. And I think that's not going to be happening in the next election. There's going to definitely be some form of structure. And I think Ostalos gave us a more encouraging, more open conversation today, which I believe, if persistent and it keeps going on like that, where there is open communication, which is strategically ambiguous, because he wasn't necessarily giving you all the tricks, but he was definitely at least speaking to the public and answering really important questions. And this is sometimes the frustration, that they don't even want to speak to us. I mean, it would have been, how much money would have been raised for, let's say, citizen agents, if one of the big dogs had actually come into the spaces and actually riled up the crowd and said, guys, let's give money towards this particular thing. But the fact that we couldn't even get a heavy hitter in any of these spaces when fundraising was critical, it was difficult to raise funds. So maybe some of these things change over time. I am rooting for the opposition. I don't believe they did at all. I believe after an election, there's some bruising, there's some battering, there's definitely cheating that happened. They will regroup. They have got solid people in that team without fail. People I know and trust are smart as death. We cannot say if Fadzai is stupid. You can't say Stalis is stupid. You can't say Chikombo or Agency Gumbo. Those guys are not stupid. These are smart young people who have a long, long political career ahead of them. And I'm wishing them the best, and I'm wishing them my support. But when they hear us being sometimes critical or making jokes, it's not that there's hatred. It's not that there's someone giving money from ZANU. Sometimes it's also trying to panel beat something that you hope will bring change in our lifetime. Thank you very much.
Interesting, Move. Thank you for that submission. Appreciate you. So I think let's go to Mike Gwaze. Let's go to Speak Truth and hold on. Urugoya Padare. I'm doing lineup here. No. I was the one adding people. Let me do the lineup. So Mike Gwaze, we go to Speak Truth. We go to Padare.
Thank you so much for this space. I just want to thank Sister Comfort and Koma Kuda for what they said. Me, I'm not going to spend much time, Padare, just wait. 10 yako ichasvika. Ndanchida kungobvunza hangu kuti saka chava president wake ndiani?
Unoda ndikupindure here because vanotsva kukupindura. Ndokupindura here.
No.
Okay.
No, Mike was muchiri kuenderera.
Aiwa ndisikuendera ndozvandaida kungobvunza chete.
All right, very good question. Okay, Speak Truth.
Yeah, brother Titus, Uncle Gerrard, big brother Kuda, how are you? My sister Comfort, Smarters, Tino, Napadare, Morisa Naiko, na ABM, I'm just joking, Padare. No, I think I think the issue is with Shabangu is like I think what Mkoma Kuda has just said there is that Shabangu is known in Triple C, but does he hold any positions of power is what we didn't get from Ostalo's submission today, because the addressing of that question was never really answered in a brilliant presentation, by the way, by Ostalos, because Ostalos articulated a number of issues around the questions that a lot of people have been asking for almost about 2 weeks now on these spaces. And I think for me, what lacked is the fact that they need to commit to closing the gaps in terms of the voids that are being created by the lack of information, right? If they do this on a regular basis, we are going to be able to actually come from a position of knowing, and we can be informed about the positions that we take when we are presented with new information. The problem that we are having at the moment is that ZANU-PF is acting as if it's the lead on information. Whether it's propaganda or it's real news, we don't really know. And I think that's where I have an issue with the way things are happening. But if we are going to have regular communication from the spokespersons in Triple C, like they've done this week with Promise Mkwananzi and Ostalos, then at least it keeps people informed in a time where there's a lot of propaganda that's filling the void of what's actually happening and creating a lot of anxiety among the citizenry. So I would like to thank Kumakuda, because like most of the things that he said there are really poignant to what we need and how we need to approach the situation we have. Clarity is important, and if without leadership clarity, we will have people that are making assumptions about the current situation or how things are, and I think it creates more problems, and it creates a disunity amongst the support bases that the leadership should be relying on. And I think when we get that clarity, it helps us build a narrative, because narratives are now what is important, because we are in the age of information and we have an information overload. And Mkumawangu Padare can come up with his narratives that can overwhelm all of us, because he believes it, and he will push it on everybody so that you also try and believe it. And if there are people that are coming to these spaces, new people who do not know my brother, they might just think that's the gospel, and we can't afford to lose people to that. So I think we need to be able to engage on that level, and actually take, you know, to take that one on and understand that we need to beat propaganda with the truth, like what my brother citizens here said. And going on to that, I know one of my brothers came here and he said, oh, Varakashi, and he included citizens here, right? Do you know the one person that has given me a breath of sort of relief to the way our politics are has been Muso, the ZAPU spokesperson. This week, with his interviews on site, he has been clear about ZAPU's position. He has been articulating ZAPU's strategic position and how ZAPU is going to approach the situation when it comes to the double candidacy, and saying, you know, we are not going to go against the will of the people. And if all the opposition united in with that sort of common understanding, I think the freedom and the struggle that you know, my brother Ostalos spoke about, that we are always constantly going to fight. I mean, we can move, we can evolve quicker as a country and as a people. So I think we need to have an appreciation of people that come without labeling people and listening to their reasoning. Are they going to get everything correct? I don't believe that's the case. Do we all have the answers? I don't believe that's the case, because we have been making assumptions until today about a lot of things, and we can go back and we can take, you know, the conversations and take them apart to say, you know what, you were offside. But is that the point of, we can't be having, you know, arguments whereby we are like, "Nye, nye, 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 you were wrong, I was right." It's not mature. And I think maturity is required in our politics, in our approach, and in how we have discussions and conversations, even if we don't agree with what others are saying. So for me, I think the most important thing that Comrade Dostalos highlighted was the ZANU-PF recalls. If the law states that Mudenda should just follow on a letter, like what I've just heard today, and if somebody writes and they are a member of a party, then we need to be asking the serious questions, whereby that letter that recalled the 70 MPs for ZANU-PF, why was that not enacted? And I think where we missed the point, I picked this up from the conversation that Ostalos raised in his presentation this evening, to say, if that is the case, that a Speaker of Parliament will just read everything and anything, and will enact anything, wherever it's coming from, then why is it that that ZANU-PF letter from I'm forgetting what the guy's name in the United States, who was recalling the 70 ZANU-PF MPs, was not taken in the same way the letter from Chabangu was taken? And again, I would say this just to land. Mkoma could have mentioned this. I don't think Chabangu is somebody that we can just dismiss as if was never in the CCC, because from that submission from Mostalos, he was not categorically clear that Chabangu is not in the structures of CCC. He just stated that the position that he is claiming to have is not within the structures of the CCC. So I know it's easy for people to push and bash people for whatever, but I think Chabangu was or is a citizen, and was a citizen at some point, and he's not coming from nowhere. And we need to acknowledge that, and we need to be able to realistically say, you know what, there are people that are going to break rank in these politics, because like somebody said, it's political stomachs, right, in Zimbabwe. So we need to acknowledge that as well. Many thanks.
Thanks, my brother. Speak truth. Anko Ged, there are 4 people on the speakers that haven't spoken. How far are we doing?
You keep adding more people, right?
No,
Just get
that's
them.
in there.
Or is it okay? Just get them, to speak, and then we just, quick do a quick, round,
Awesome.
so that
So,
everybody, so cause no more speakers, to be added. So those, that haven't spoken, if you can just give them, like a maximum of 2 minutes each, and then what we'll do is we just ask everybody, to just give, their last submissions, and then we call it a day by, 12,
sounds.
midnight.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So, brother Michael, if you take the mic, then we go to Musena Signoro and Sister Oti in that order, please.
Mhofu tombera kaumaoko kuna mhofu mukuru anoti iwe uri mhofu chidiki kuna mhofu kwacho staina anenge kuti mhofu kwacho kwacho sofaya zvakadaro.
Padare. Iwe kushaya network manje.
Ndashaya network kupi kuti ndashaya mauda unibvisa manje zvekuda kuti ndinombobvisa
the network is doing a lot, so I get it, but I don't know.
network ndati
Go ahead.
ndinombobvisa koko ndozvichachinjei because ndandakataura kudhara zvakatongoitika chiprofita hachinepi tiri vanhu vemweya. Listen to this. Comfort, I like the way you did it. I remember one of these tabletop exercises in taxes one time where we were trying to think who's best. Your mission guys versus the Marines. I think that's what you're trying to say. You're trying to make this guy a warrior where he is not. CIA will never be in command in that regard, and you know that very well. You guys come after. So you're trying to make him what he's not, and then Chamis is not a warrior. You can try, you never make him that. But anyway, let me move on to say what I want to say in the way I want to say it. After listening, I did listen to the high school narrative by this individual. But I'll give him A for effort. He really articulated forward, what he believes, where he thinks the party should go. He was talking as if he's in command, as a junior guy, where he stands. He is very junior, even in articulation, even in strategic formation, in the words that he uses, in the way he presents himself. But what did he hammer home for those that are excitable? And this is the way, because I'm trying to analyze from an order extraction here. If you're telling me, talking to me as his commander, what would I be then taking forward to the troops in order for to keep the fire going? Right. This is the way I'm trying to analyze this young guy who stood up with the microphone to inspire the mission to go forward. One thing he literally hammered home is this election is gone. This is done. This election is done. But what does he believe Chamisa has? He still believes Chamisa has a vision, and that vision is to be the president of the country. That he believes in that. He articulated that by actually bringing in historical narrative and sociology, physiology, many other attributes in there, and he tried to bring in some psychology into it to excite people into that. He did it wisely as a political scientist. I'm sure he's a political scientist in the manner, junior political scientist in profession, really, But he spoke of the future. He spoke of the future to where Chamisa would be. And remember, I'm saying Chamisa because that's what he believes in. He does not believe in anything else, but believes in Chamisa, this young man. And he believes Chamisa's mission will one day get to the position where he needs to get to. So that's the most important point what this guy mentioned home. Does he really care about the MPs and everybody else who comes up to it? Like I've always written and I've always said, Chamisa himself does not believe in that. He does not believe about MPs and so forth. Because what does Chamisa bring? He's already proved to the many of us and the many of you that he commands the protest vote in Zimbabwe. He owns it, that he owns the narrative of the protest vote in our country. So he still believes that there are these hungry people that will forever follow and be loyal to Chamisa no matter what. So that's the message he really hammered home. Does he know of this Chabangu guy, the Matabeleland warrior I called him? He knows he exists, and he knows he has power, and he knows he's extracted people from that position in parliament. Why do I say so? Because he then going to say